Hypocrisy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Ricada of Ricada Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. How's it going? How are you? Oh my God. I have missed you guys. I have missed you so much. I already see it pointed out. Someone said up the nose angle. You know what that's called? Ladies and gentlemen, that is called accountability. That is that's called accountability, I suppose. Look, we've got a lot to talk about, and I don't even remember how to do this shit. So give me a second. We're gonna get everything kind of in place. I don't even remember where I put everything before. So she said, dock the chat. What do you say, chat? You up for it? We'll do some docking. I'm sorry, this is a serious show with no jokes or anything. We can't do that. Not allowed. Not allowed. Just kidding. Hey guys, how have you been? I'm sorry. I've been away for a long time. I had to deal with a couple things, and I'm not quite done, but soon I will be done, and things will be a little bit more gender fluid, I guess. And we'll be streaming a lot more in the very near future. I'm just getting my windows organized. I was already late, so I didn't get that done. I apologize. Like, I actually legitimately apologize for not having that done beforehand, but it was enough of a fucking disaster just trying to remember how I actually like do this stream and at all. Why did anybody ever let me do this? But here we go. Oh my God. This is what I want. Wow, there's a bunch of super chats and stuff. Thanks. Hey, that's cool. We'll get to all that, guys. Today, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to drag out this intro. Today, I was not planning on streaming yet. Like I said, I've still got a couple general things that I want to take care of or need to take care of before everything gets going all the way. And with my own personal legal stuff, which we're not going to really talk about, but it's I have a hearing on Friday, and that is, with that being said, that's about the extent of what needs to be said about it. But I wasn't planning on streaming. That's the moral of this story. And then all of a sudden we've got a shooter out in Nashville who goes and shoots up a school. Which, well, this is America. So apparently, if you watch the news, it happens every day, 6-7 times a day, at all schools. But I get tagged on Twitter, and I'm immediately thinking, no, this can't be real. And as it happens, what I see is basically a rendition of the Unbreaded manifesto. And I was like, that cannot possibly be like, it's not real. That's not a thing. Like, no one would actually be like, would ascribe to this lunatic philosophy. And then I see that they apparently did. And I started reading this thing, and it actually read very similarly to Matthew Harris's thing. And that's when I was like, okay, well, maybe this is something. But then it directly references him. And I was like, oh, I just realized I forgot my drink. We'll have to fix that in a minute. But anyway, I was blown away, and I was like, I guess this is it. I have to stream this, right? I think that's the rule, is that if something so crucial to the channel came up, I would just have to finally talk about it. And the first thing that struck me is that most people probably have no fucking idea who Matthew Harris is, what his philosophy is, or any of that stuff. They are blissfully unaware. And that's probably for the best. But so to them, they're just seeing this shooter with these crazy words. And I said, but Matthew Harris was always this way. Matthew Harris was always insane. It didn't manifest in Psychosis because America wasn't willing to look into DEI as the psychosis that it is, the sickness that it is, and really the propensity for horror that it stands for. But Matthew Harris laid it out in death sentences. He actually laid it out before that. And so we're going to talk a little bit about his dissertation. Matthew Harris is a PhD in philosophy from Duke University. I have his dissertation. I obviously have the Unbreaded manifesto. And I have the new manifesto as well. So we may take a look at it because it's got some wild stuff in there. Candace Owens is listed as a major radicalizer of this guy. Ethan Ralph is listed as a radicalizer of this guy. And, I think everything in this manifesto has to be taken with a specific understanding of the culture and the vernacular of Gen. What Gen is this guy? What generation is this? Not quite Gen Alpha. A little too old for Gen Alpha, I guess. But a Zoomer. But it's mimetic, right? This is mimetic communication. It's the language of memes. It is the expression through ironic, digestible media of concepts and ideas that require a level of lore-based understanding that you don't just have walking into it from an outsider, or walking into it as an outsider, from the outside, around the outside, like my favorite kind of hose. And so I guess it's my job to kind of explain how this works. And I think the three documents that we have are an excellent sort of exploration of the different methods of communication. The dissertation is written at a scholarly level, but he talks about his delivery of the dissertation as mimetic, using the language of memes, and which is hard to if this sounds retarded, please, like I keep wondering if it's me, but no, this is how higher education is now. Like, what do you do with philosophy when memes are used in presidential elections? Seriously, now for multiple presidential elections, they're in the public zeitgeist, and that has permeated into higher education, of course it does. But it just doesn't ever feel real. It doesn't feel like something that can actually exist. So it's written at the scholarly level with this sort of dipping its toes into this meme-based communication. And then, of course, death sentences is a lot more straightforward, very obviously and overtly violent, but also it's hilarious. Like, not in the fact of what it's saying and the hateful rhetoric. Okay, to the censors. Okay, please, like, just give me a second. But it is straightforward in its approach. It is violent and outlandish, but it's so ridiculous that it feels hyperbolic. And that's the meme-based communication. And the audience is expected to understand that what is being said is both serious and hyperbolic at the same time. And that's hard to kind of wrap your head around. All right. And then this new one, from what I've seen, is just the further extension of that. It delves so much farther into the lunacy. But the crazy thing is, we also inherently understand it because we have been on the internet long enough to see people communicate in this way, right? And I'm sorry if that was a rambling, incoherent mess. I just don't really know how to say it any other way. And you don't get to, like, I don't get to talk about this with anybody normally. So it's been a minute. So bear with me on that. The Black Link says, yes, Nick, in essence, trolling. Yet to an extent, but it's not, though, is it? Like, Matthew Harris wasn't trolling. He was serious. He wanted to go annihilate an entire department of people because he got dumped by a young blonde German woman. Or not even dumped, but rejected. Like, he wanted to go annihilate a department at UCLA with machine guns. Now, we all want to annihilate the departments of UCLA, just we don't want to use machine guns. Like, we want to defeat their ideas and have them removed from having influence in a free society because they're ridiculous people. But he wanted to go do it with guns. This new guy obviously is not trolling. Like, he's trolling with bullets. He's strafe trolling, I guess. I wonder if mass shooters like actually strafe. Like, just anyway, because they played video games so much. Like, I wonder if they do any weird stuff like that. Sorry, that's a random thought. Very schizophrenic. I've been reading too much Matthew Harris, I guess. Let me hit a couple of these super chats. As a big thank you to you guys for supporting me and supporting the show. And I will try to get to all of them as we go through this. But what is this? There we go. That's my thanks. Sorry, I just found my Rumble Rants window. We'll try to get through all this. I don't know how long the show is going to be tonight. And I'll try to take some questions, but guys, you have to give me a little grace. There's some stuff I'm not going to be able to talk about. I think you can understand why that might be. Here we go. Nice podcast. Stupid says, hey, Nick, we all know you've been to hell and back. Oh, man. Yeah. Some of us never lost faith in you. Steel Toe is an evil person. Use your misfortune for his own gain. We will never forget. God bless you and your family. Nothing but the best. Say thanks. Slasher says, hey, man, glad to see you back. I understand there may have been some drama in the last few months. No, it's mostly about 7 months ago. 8, 9. I don't, well, when was May? Was trying not to pay attention myself because I'm not in junior high anymore. I hope things are going all right. They're going very well. Thank you. Aurora Uplinks has gifted some memberships. Very much appreciated that. And they said they have to work. Good night. Thank you. Alicia G, welcome to Paralegal. Stacy Q, welcome to Paralegal. Slosher, welcome to Lawyer. Blue Avaro, welcome to Paralegal. And next we've got Snickers with a pink boy. Thank you. Says, Missy Rackets, looking forward to more of your shows. God bless you and your family. Thank you very much. More Unbreaded Havoc. Penguins are getting taller. Soon they'll be bigger than people again. Thank you. Thank you for that. They are going to be taller than people again. And it's about time because people need to be cut down a peg, I think. And we have Matthew Harris to help that out. Nick Naylor says, let's have a good show and please no slap fighting the internet. Don't worry about that. That's not my intent today. Not at all. Oh my God, there's a goal option on YouTube. Come on. YouTube, don't do that to me. Go for Big Guy says, where you been, Nick? What is new? Oh, there's a lot to that story. It's going to come a little bit later, not tonight. Tonight is not for that. Tonight is for this. Okay. So let's get this pulled up. We'll get started. I want to spend most of our time in the documents. I haven't even read too much about this, shooting. So we're going to just see what happened here. because I didn't want this to be too impure. All right. How do I do this again? Let's, it says present now. Share screen. Share. Hello. Here we go. The team. Here's the, I don't want notifications from you. Here's the news story. We'll take a look at this and then we'll get into the manifestos. I know this is going to bounce around a little bit. I'm going to step away in just a second and grab my drink, which is not alcoholic anymore because, well, that is no longer a thing. Teen fatally shoots female student, wounds another at Nashville high school. Police say. Well, always trust that. A female student was killed and another student was injured Wednesday in a shooting in a Nashville high school cafeteria, authorities said, jarring the community nearly 2 years after another school massacre sparked a debate for gun reform in Tennessee. Well, I don't know if like 2 people being shot counts as a massacre in this case. So that's Tennessee's doing better. Their school shootings are getting less violent, I guess. Good job. Trump's America. By the way, Donald Trump got elected for president. I don't know if I've talked to the internet since then. And it's been hilarious. He was inaugurated. And I really do want to talk about some of his first actions as president. We might get into that a little bit later. We might. Otherwise, maybe we'll do another show soon. The shooting occurred in Antioch High School shortly after 11 a.m., according to Metro Nashville Police Department spokesman Don Aaron. Authorities said a male student armed with a pistol opened fire in the cafeteria, fatally shot Jocelyn Correa Escalante, who is 16, and left another male student with a graze wound. The suspected shooter, identified as Solomon Henderson. Now, Solomon Henderson is unironically from a family of Black Israelites, apparently. Do you guys remember those guys? If you don't remember them, what you do is you go to like a big event at like Washington, D.C. or New York, and you'll find a table with 5 guys who look like they are there to do the Lord's work. And they will tell you about how much they hate the Jews. Mostly, and everybody who isn't Black, and how the Blacks are actually the good Jews, the lost tribe of Israel, the Black Israelites, the Hebrew Israelites, sometimes they're called, and they are phenomenally entertaining people, but they are terrifyingly insane. So here we go, back to this. Let's see. Solomon Henderson, 17, was an active student at the school and was found dead at the scene from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So I guess there were 3, according to, well, 1 dead, 2 dead with him, and then the male student. That's weirdly written. They used to include the dead one in the body count. Metro Nashville Police Department Chief John Drake said it was not clear if the shooting was targeted or if there was a motive behind it. Okay. The police chief said the suspect rode the bus to Antioch High School Wednesday morning before making his way to the cafeteria, where he confronted and fatally shot a fellow student. So you don't know if it was targeted, but he confronted and shot a student. The shooter fired several rounds before turning the gun on himself, according to Drake. Drake said an investigation is underway into the shooting, including a variety of leads. 4th student was also transported to the hospital for minor facial injuries from a fall. The shooting comes nearly 2 years after 3 9-year-old students and 3 adult staff members were killed in a shooting in the Covenant School in Nashville. Blah, 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 blah. Schools 2 resources. It's a heartbreaking day. As authorities seek to determine a motive behind the attack, Drake said the police are investigating some online materials. I mean, I hate to laugh because there's a dead person, but we're investigating some online materials. Really? That's what I told my parents all the time. We believe there's some materials out there and maybe they were seen, Drake said, adding if someone said something, maybe more could have been done. Oh, yes, that's right. You guys are phenomenal at stopping school shooters when someone says something and something could have been done. That's a common theme in law enforcement. And you know what? I'm being critical of law enforcement there, but I really want it to stay that way. I don't want law enforcement to be investigating so loosely someone reporting something that they saw online. That sounds funny, but I mean that like absent my own situation. Worried parents rush to the school as news spread, jamming the exit door, exit near the school as they desperately try to navigate police blockades. By 1 p.m., more than 100 had gathered at the reunification site about a half mile from the school as buses full of students arrived. Metro Nashville Police Schools Director Adrian Battle called it a heartbreaking day for Antioch High. Thank you for your profound words. My heart goes out to these families as they face unimaginable loss. Like, I guess the shooter's family, I mean, the girl's family, shooter's family. Shantae Fry said her daughter, a 9th grader, was in a classroom when she heard the gunshot. She texted her mom that the school was on lockdown. It was terrifying, Fry said, as she stood across from the Ascension St. Thomas Antioch Hospital, where reunification with students was about to occur. But it's almost not surprising because it's getting worse with the fights and the violence at school. I don't think we need much more of that for now. It's always interesting to read the reaction to this, because how do you actually respond, right, to the horror of a school shooting? It's like, well, the fights and the violence are getting worse. Oh, are they? I mean, I guess maybe. I don't know. I don't know if the fights at the Nashville school are getting worse, but this doesn't have anything to do with that, right? This is not like your typical type of activity. But what do you say? Sorry, the meme wars out there are getting harsh. And when I say meme wars, you have to realize this guy, you probably don't know this. I haven't gotten around to it yet. Sorry. This guy was a fan and participant of an online board of soy jack meme makers. There's some sentences you say in life that you never expect to say, but yeah, soy jack meme makers. And I mean, he was pretty annoyed at at his fellow meme makers for becoming lazy and going to other places and not staying loyal to the board. I don't know if this guy is on the level of there's general violence in the school makes it more dangerous. But how could anyone expect that is what is causing a school shooting? On the surface, we would say that, right? Because it seems so just ludicrous that's the motivation behind having so much hatred. But the internet is becoming, the internet and online communities are becoming such an integrated part of people's lives that they're no different than any other previously existing social structure, social hierarchy, or social artifact that people engage with. And so we should not be surprised that these things are becoming important enough for people to manifest in violence. And in fact, Ty and I talked about this during the Vic saga, which is a long time ago on my channel. But the way people act around online communities, eventually people are going to start getting real world consequences from them because of the nature of interactions. Now, I don't know how you fix that. There's no way to police it, but eventually someone's going to get shot in the goddamn mouth over what they type online. And we see that happening more, and we should expect to see it more and more as our social interactions move from the physical to the virtual. But one of the issues with that, of course, that may be part of this case, maybe not, is that his anger and frustration within his own community can only manifest at the community if someone is near enough physically to suffer from the violence, right? So in this case, you have anger within this community that may have manifested in his own school, even though they may be unrelated. But it's weird to try and figure out how to fit this new reality of our social interactions into our normal understanding of the world. I think as you get older, it's harder and harder because we're not used to it. But I think younger generations, like, it's not surprising at all. And I guess that's what I wanted to talk about today is how all of this is, again, part of the current expectation of how, like, online social interaction is just normalized into society, but it's so ridiculous and hyperbolic that it's hard to tell, like, what's serious and what's not. And the real danger is that we will take that uncertainty, we will take that unfamiliarity, and we will demand the government to fix it for us. We will demand them to more heavily police online interactions or online commentary and put First Amendment principles at risk. And when we do that, we surrender our liberty in the face of an authoritarian government for the idea of increased security. That's the danger of every loss of freedom. It just manifests in different ways based on the different circumstances. But that's what the danger is. And the additional part of that danger is that we have a government that is always willing to take advantage of our request to give away our rights. With that, I need to take just a minute to go grab my drink because my throat's getting dry. So give me a second. I'm going to play a familiar song and then I'll be back. And then we will get into the main documents now that my introduction is mostly done. Be right back, guys.
He drank a fair bit and then realized that his bladder can't handle the liquor inside, leaving us with his chair while he runs up the stairs, hoping the stream doesn't suddenly die. While we are waiting, we'll be laughing at you. The drinking along is what most of us do. The chat is united, getting excited. What you have for us when you're feeling is through. When you have small bladder and no sphincter control, freedom of liquor doesn't mean freedom from soaking your drawers. Now you're washing your hands and you realize that you've forgotten to scrub both the front and the back. Then you'll grab a quick bite, kiss your lady goodnight, and remember to thank her for all of the snacks. Whoa, water will cure your hangover. Oh, so drink some when the stream is over. When you have small bladder and no sphincter control, freedom of liquor doesn't mean freedom from soaking your drawers. Soaking your drawers.
Hey, guys. Thanks. Okay. Sorry. I had to get my bubbler. These are like a caffeine drink, I guess. Antioxidant sparkling water. They taste good. I don't have any soda in my house. Oh, boy. All right. So I guess to preface this, took that long for that. No, I also went to the bathroom. Is that okay? Like, is that, are we allowed to do that too? I don't know. I'm genuinely asking. I don't know what I'm allowed to do anymore. The government has decided all sorts of things. So I guess as a preface to getting into this, we should make a statement for the purposes of YouTube and Rumble and any policies that they may have against the promotion or the glorification of violence. We are exploring these documents, two of them written by Matthew Harris and one of them written by the school shooter, allegedly, Solomon, whatever the fuck his name was, who cares? And these documents are the words of insane people. We're not reading these documents to glorify or honor the violence committed in any way. This is about the exploration of why that violence was predictable. All right. So if you are YouTube and you're one of the moderators or whatever, not like in the chat, but one of the YouTube censors, and you have a problem with what gets read on any of these documents, go fuck yourself. Get over it. We have to be able to talk honestly and openly about what the fuck people are actually saying. And you private censors have made the job of discussing how to actually have a society very, very difficult. Thank you. All right. Here we go. ASE presents. Oh, hey, what's up? He says, bro, in the gaming section of the manifesto, he lists Skylanders. That's my new favorite part of any manifesto ever from Clippa. Thanks, Riley. Thanks, Riley. The manifesto is something else. Something else. Like, it's just, we just have to get there. Coach Scooter G says, I hope you can make it to Las Vegas in May for Hackamania. I will be there. I'm not 100% sure what days I will be there. I have stuff at home that weekend. Well, I will God willing, I will be there. The plan is to be there at least Thursday and Friday. He says it would be great to meet you and chat a little about Mubi. Sounds good. Sounds fun. Sounds like a blast. All right. So you guys, if you've been a fan of this show, follower of this show, watcher of this show, listener, casually, you've probably heard of a document that gets colloquially referred to as the Unbreaded, but it's actually called Death Sentences. It's a giant 800-page PDF by a guy named Matthew Harris. And it's really just about how black people need to kill Asians and Jews, particularly, but also Italians and Arabs and white people. And how black people should own everything because it was all stolen from them because they invented jazz or something like that. That's like an effective AI summary of it. So when you read Death Sentences, you find a bunch of very, very vitriolic language. You find a lot of overtly racist statements, a lot of violent statements. And people get kind of shocked by it because it's psychotic. And it is psychotic. That's what makes it fun to read. That's what makes it fun to read. But the reality is that Matthew Harris did not start with death sentences. He started at Duke University with his PhD dissertation, and it's called Continence in Cognition. Now, this is a 150-page document. I don't think we want to read 150 pages of this, but I'm going to start at least with the abstract because I think it's important to see that the themes of death sentences actually exist in the scholarly work that Matthew Harris used to pursue his higher education degree and then to get a job at UCLA. And that, these people who gave him a PhD which would allegedly be Andrew Janiak, Carlotta Pavez, David Wong, and Wayne Norman. That there was ample opportunity to take a peek into the mind of this deranged person. And though the language may not be vitriolic because it's written at a different level for a different audience, the themes behind it are unsurprising. You can find this just by searching Matthew C. Harris dissertation, Duke University, in Google. And we start out right here with the dedication. This dissertation is dedicated to Hegel, Coltrane, and the rights of non-human persons. Now, the reason I wanted to do this, and I want to bring this up, is because this guy is a product of DEI. Like, we talk about DEI hires, we talk about DEI creating stuff, and Matthew Harris is the actual product of DEI because his philosophy is one that has been roundly rejected by basically every modern society as something that can function. Now, I know that there's going to be a little bit of pushback based on what I say, because some of his philosophy sounds like, how do I word this? I guess it has echoes of certain types of nationalism that people subscribe to today. And I'm not cheapening that to just Nazism or some blanket label, but there's a rejection of we have two issues going right now, right? Like, we have the DEI thing, but we also have a rejection of sort of the dilution of culture through the importation of people groups, to put this in the words of a college. And we have people who want to stay more heritage based or nationalistic based or race based or culturally based, however you want to talk about it, like whichever label you want to use. And there's a large group of people who are looking at some of those ideas going, yeah, I don't want my culture taken over by everybody else. And those are going to sound really similar to some things Matthew Harris says. Okay, so there's and in some ways it makes some of the things he says sound rational or coherent. And so people will have a tendency to agree with parts of it. But you have to understand that Matthew Harris doesn't actually believe this culturally. He believes it specifically for blacks and only blacks, who he elevates above all other races. His basic premise is that the color of your skin infuses the content of your character irretrievably and irrevocably, not because you are culturally or proximally located, but just because you are colored a certain way. So if you're colored a certain way, you have a certain character. And then his extension, which, again, there are people who will argue a lot about that being at least partially true, but the extension of that is that you have certain value and other people are valued differently based on their skin color. And then his further extension of that in death sentences, those people deserve death if they're not black. So with that, here's where it starts. Is it racist to think that black people think differently from Asian people, or that Asian people think differently from white people? It's a good question, right? That's a question that's out there. Harvard has, policies for admissions that are based on this concept. The U.S. government has fought against this concept or for this concept in various ways with the Harvard admissions stuff, along with, with several other aspects of our life. That's an interest. But if you know the Unbreaded document, the fact that he picks blacks and Asians is hilarious, mainly because 150 pages of the document is just a repeating set of phrases about killing all Asians. So in one sense, we want to avoid assuming that someone's appearance or skin color has any relevance to the intellectually or morally relevant aspects of their being, the content of their character, which Martin Luther King Jr. hoped everyone would eventually learn to engage when acting with one another. See, Matthew Harris doesn't believe this. Still, in another way, we seem to care about giving people credit for cultural contributions in a way that suggests that ethnic heritage belongs to groups of persons in ways that are not entirely arbitrary. That is, we seem to intuitively associate black music with black people, mariachi with Mexican people, and Indian music with Indian people. It's frustrating to read this because you want to just like kind of discuss it, but he's not there. And even if he was, he's fucking insane. So it wouldn't really work. But the reason that it's called black music is because it's predominantly populated by black creators, right? It's not that it's inherently black. It's that it's predominantly black. Mariachi music is predominantly popular with Mexican people, not because of their tanned skin, but it's because it's proximally located in Mexico where Mexican people are, and its exportation has not really been that successful because it tugs at the heartstrings of people. Again, not because of their skin color, but this is where this man goes crazy. Indie music nobody likes. Of course, so he says, back to this, sorry. Of course, this is not random. It's a joke. Don't tech support, please stop. Music and language are important to brain development. So it seems tenable that there are mental attributes of cultural identity that vary in ways that we non-arbitrarily associate with varied physical appearances. So again, this is written in a way, it's written at a PhD level. And though the concepts are actually relatively elementary and relatively idiotic, it doesn't matter, because it's written in a way that sounds good and it's perfect for a group of DEI weirdos to go ahead and push forward this privileged person. John Locke discovered that persons are distinct from bodies. I don't know that he discovered that. I don't know that was a discovery that John Locke made, but okay. He recognized that the minds of agents are central to moral questions about blame and responsibility. This distinction has endured for centuries in American societies, founded on Locke's premise that persons are essentially psychological beings, from our legal system to our regard for mental health. For example, conceiving persons psychologically was central to Locke's concept of human nature and political theory of natural rights. I mean, kind of. An important aspect of personal identity that Locke did not consider when he first analyzed persons in mental terms was race. You can just see, right? You can just see like the German guy, like, but did he consider? Like, no, I guess he didn't get around to thinking about race. But persons inherit cognitive patterns that determine how they perceive themselves in their environments from their cultures. Again, so there's this big conflation going on between race and culture, and Matthew Harris is going to rely on it. This isn't a problem. Like, you could do this all day. The problem is that the people who approved this dissertation allowed him to rely on this without challenging these ideas and going, wait, you're conflating race and culture, and ignoring the fact that the way people bunch up due to probably, in long-term evolution from tribalism or tribal societies into modern societies, but retaining like an inherent sort of trust based on tribe, like they tend to group together with people who look like them for all sorts of reasons. But that is what builds the culture. That's not that the race itself is the reason for the culture. Oh my goodness. What is this? Out of memory. Oh my God. YouTube is kicking my ass. All right. It's not that the culture is based on the race of the people. It's just that there's going to be a higher density sort of planting of races in various places because people didn't gather together. That's just how we do it. Sorry. In fact, much of what makes us ourselves comes by way of mental inheritance, which resembles biological inheritance. And this is more fully fleshed out in Death Sentences. Matthew Harris believes that you biologically inherit knowledge and skill. He believes that jazz is biologically black. And he believes this without a hint of irony. And these people didn't question him on it. But we are still unaccustomed to considering how mental patterns across populations shape agency in ways that are similar to how human races are studied in biology. This dissertation attempts to get to the core of the problem by asking, what does it mean to be a person of a specific ethnicity or culture? Methodologically, the approach taken here will be naturalistic, drawing from the best evidence across sciences, art, and humanities. This is the most bullshit sentence I've read in a while. This is something you would write in every intro to whatever class paper that you had to do. I employ meme theory. So here we go. For its simple depiction of cultural identity as inheritance. But the theoretical stances of this dissertation do not depend on meme theory's correctness or reflect a strong commitment to the theory. Now, he's not talking specifically about memes. It's just the idea of mimetic communication. Again, communication through this sort of understood, digestible media, wherever it is. And it relies on a commonality of knowledge. It requires you to understand the lore. And what's crazy is having children, who are teenagers, and they talk in this language of lore and of memes, and their concept of story is so much different than everyone I grew up with, because the way that they tell stories and the way that they digest media is so different. But to see it here, meme theory pre-exists internet memes by a long time, I believe. I don't know. I wasn't a philosophy major. So I employ meme theory for its simple depiction of cultural identity as inheritance, but the theoretical stances of this dissertation do not depend on meme theory's correctness or reflect a strong commitment to the theory. I agree with critics of this theory that it exaggerates the resemblance between biology and culture. As it stands, I believe that the theory is very probably false. Still, in this circumstance, it helps to use a very simple model as a placeholder for other theories of cultural transmission. I do not think my account relies on the details in any way that matters. Since I will be discussing, we see, of course, the death sentences, that all of that's a lie, that he fully believes this. Since I will be discussing several types of identity in the coming chapters, allow me to provide a few definitions. I use psychological identity and cognitive identity interchangeably, and I use both as broader than narrative identity. Now, he can do that, but the difference between psychology and cognition is pretty high. So I don't know why he would short circuit that. And again, why do they allow him to use these terms interchangeably? They're not the same thing. Your psychology and your cognition they're not the same. I'm just annoyed at PhD level writing that is not precise. Sorry. And he used them both as broader than narrative identity. So when I ask what it might mean to be cognitively or psychologically black, there's so many jokes that could follow this statement. I mean to ask the same question by both terms. It would be different to ask what it means to be narratively black. When I discuss narrative identity, I mean a person's story. I agree that a person's story is relevant to their psychological identity, but deny that narrative conceptions of identity include everything that is important to identity. Although having a life story that involves being black is relevant, there is more to being mentally black than having the right story. So here's where these people should really be holding up their hands and saying, wait a fucking minute now. He's saying that someone's life story, the actual events that happened to them and shaped them, the circumstances that they live in, are less important than being psychologically or cognitively black, which is thinking like a black person. This makes my account of identity distinct in two ways. Firstly, having the right narrative is not obviously sufficient for having a black psychological identity. So this is how you can be a non-black black, I guess. Secondly, it allows that certain non-narrative traits are sufficient for, well, no, you can't though. Certain non-narrative traits are sufficient for a black psychological identity. To preview, I will be arguing that belonging to ethnic groups involves sharing perceptual and attentional dispositions in common with the group, and that many non-propositional mental states are of importance to psychological identity. Again, if this sounds like bullshit, that's because it is. Many of the most important details of my account do not emerge until the later chapters. So if the reader finds the discussion of race and mind to be too slow or unclear in the earlier chapters, feel free to skip ahead. We're going to skip ahead in a little bit. We'll take a break from this in a second. I think the current order motivates the discussion in a logical fashion, but this might appear to be at the expense of holding back on stating my own more nuanced views for the end. Oh, very, very nuanced, Matthew Harris. Yes. Very nuanced. But there we go. That's his abstract. And again, as you read this, as you listen to it, whatever you're doing, I'm asking you to look beyond just this guy, because like you can read it and dismiss it, but he wasn't dismissed. He should have been, but he wasn't dismissed by one of the most prestigious institutions in the United States from getting a PhD. And then he would go on to be hired by UCLA Berkeley, who I believe regretted that decision almost immediately. The funny thing is, the essence of why he's not dismissed is the content of this. They believe this. They believe inherently, and this is what DEI is all structured around. They believe inherently that race infuses a value that must be respected in some way. And when you respect that value, sometimes it might mean that the value is lower than what people think for other races. And so therefore they need to be propped up or they need to be removed. Like that's the logical extension of where DEI goes. Anytime you ascribe inherent characteristics to people based on something that's beyond their control, and then further assign a value to that group of people. That's the important part, is the value assignment. Because if you just go, okay, well, like race has some inherent stuff. Obviously, Black people are almost entirely darker skinned, right? Outside of a genetic mutation of albinism, whatever it is, however you pronounce that. Outside of that genetic mutation, you're going to find people who have largely darker skin than the majority of the population of the planet. Okay, but does that change the value of that person? We go, oh, no. But what if what is inherent is not just skin color? What if the immutable characteristic or trait isn't skin color, but it's the ability to create music, which is what Matthew Harris believes. Matthew Harris believes that all music belongs to Black people, that all music is a bastardization, an adaptation, or an outright theft of music itself, which essentially comes from within Black people. Well, now in Matthew Harris's book, because of that puts the Black race above any other race, and it creates a value for them that is higher, and it merits not only the taking of the property from other races and the transfer of it to the Blacks, but it means that those other races are also subject to extermination. And he has this value system for all sorts of different racial groups. Like, this is what he believes, and this is what DEI essentially is. At the end of the day, it says, well, these groups aren't doing well, and it's because they're these groups. Therefore, we need to prop them up. Because they are of different value. And so they're stuck in this position of having to affirm outright fucking lunacy or to dismiss the very thing, the very ethos that drives them and drives their departments and drives their budgets and drives the government. Now, thank God, like legitimately, thank God that Donald Trump was elected. One of the first things he did is to suspend all DEI employees in the government and basically launch an outright war against this philosophy. It is a philosophy of death. It's a philosophy of division, and it is a philosophy of economic and cultural failure. But this is a war against that philosophy. And just because Donald Trump is president does not mean that war is won or even started in any real capacity. And believe me, this war will be fought. I don't necessarily mean with violence in the streets, but this war, we actually kind of saw it start for a while. If you remember, like the Battle of Berkeley. Sorry, I listened to Sargon talk about it. But if you think back to, was that 2019, something like that, where we had all of those very highly politicized rallies. There was violence at a lot of them, not like kill you violence, but some bike chains and stuff like that. The possibility for violence in the streets is there, but either way, it's going to be an economic fight. It's going to be a cultural fight, and it's not going to be quick. These people are embedded in the top institutions, from private businesses to public businesses, to entire branches of city, state, and federal government. And most critically, the educational institutions at all levels. Those educational institutions are the propaganda factory of culture. Doesn't matter what culture ends up being. Like sometimes the government monopolizes them, but it doesn't have to be. Like, this is how we decide what the next generation will believe, and the next generation, the next, is by populating the schools with certain people of certain ideas. And we have spent a long time populating the schools with people who think like this. And it's hard to find schools where they don't think like this. And it gets harder and harder the higher level of education you go. The scariest thing to realize is that the highest level of education students are the ones who often, due to the specialized nature of their education, are most willing to accept abstract and often horrific concepts, because they have special knowledge, special talent, and special training. And so those concepts, which may not be fit for modern or for popular society, permeate through scholarly work, because these people are smarter than you, you fucking dummies. And since they're smarter than you, they can listen to abstract thought and understand it, while your stupid brain cannot. Now you combine that with shit like tenure and the protection of institutionalism, like the age of these institutions and their stature in their communities, and it becomes hard to root this shit out, because these people are given the keys to the next generation, and they're given the social platform, the social stage, to speak into this generation, and to also condemn this generation as wrong and beneath them and uneducated. The thing I like about Trump is that Trump is an out and out rejection of the ivory tower, the academic class, and the tyranny of education. Because he says to Corinthians, no, we're not going to do it. China can't do that to us. I don't care about Xi Jinping, whatever his name is, Mugu Gai Pan. He just plows through the notion that there is a value in some sort of like special knowledge or special education, not that type of special education, or higher education, and that those people have any sort of value. One of my friends tends to summarize it this way. He says, if you're so smart, why aren't you rich? And Trump is the out and out manifestation of that sort of concept. Like all of these all these pointy-headed lunatics only exist because society has decided that they need to apologize for something. And so they appoint ridiculous people into these jobs and forget that these jobs actually are important. But anyway, rambling through that, getting back to the point. Point is, just because Trump is president, we're not going to get around this. But this is what this is about. This is what DEI comes to, and it really is a quite dangerous sort of philosophy. Frederick Little says, "I hope you and the family had a great Christmas and New Year, Nick." We really did. It was nice. It was a really rough year, but it was a really good Christmas and New Year. It's amazing what happens when you're just like back together. All right. What I want to do now is, how do we do this? I'm going to skip to a page farther in this text. I don't want to spend all of our time on this text. I do want to get into Unbreaded. We're going to just bounce through some Unbreaded stuff. And I want to get we might go to the Shooter's Manifesto before we go to Unbreaded, because I really want to get to that. And I think I'll get lost. I think I get lost in the Unbreaded. But I want to get to the Shooter's Manifesto. But I want to spend just another couple moments on this and grab a couple sections or pages. We're not going to read all of it. Okay. We're definitely not. But here, so let's, I'll pull up the table of contents so you guys can see what's in here, since we're not going to get all of this. And I'll probably just post this dissertation up on Locals if people want to find it there. You can grab it and download it. That way you can read this yourself. But we have the abstract, which we read, acknowledgments, which are after this. Introduction, a dialogue on skin, cognition, and ontology. Embodied mind hypothesis, cross-modal integration, the rubber hand illusion, semantic content and visual processing, and closing summary. Then we have skin and visual content. So we have background and conclusions on skin and visual content. Clown World, I'll read your chats in just a second. Stories, songs, and identities, section 3. Section 4, self and psychological origins. So then we have genetics in the head. This is, again, where you have the impartation of intelligence through race. And then self, lineage, and imitation. And then finally, as conclusions, diversity and sensory integration. And he has references in his biography, I guess. All right. Let me read these chats from Clown World, who has to go, and I'm really appreciative of the chats that he sent. Thank you. He says, glad to see you on. Hope it all gets better. Pull a Return of the King for everyone. He says, also, here's for the beer you got me when you last visited Seattle with Ty. It was great to have seen you when I did. Love seeing you on. Hope you're back for good. Hey, thanks, Clown World. Peace, brother. All right. So with this, let me pull this down. I'm going to jump down to, we'll read the intro to skin and visual content, and then we'll go to this. So section 2, we'll take a look at the intro of that, maybe some of the conclusions. Then we'll go to section 4. But again, I don't want to spend all day on this document. I just think there's some value in it. All right, so here we go. Skin and visual feedback, chapter 2. Over the last 2 decades, important links have been found between the processing of visual information from one's external body and subjective experiences of various kinds. An experimental approach that has contributed greatly to the understanding of these connections is the rubber hand illusion. The illusion is induced by stroking the participant's unseen hand in the same manner that a visible rubber hand is stroked. The illusion is measured along 2 dimensions of embodied experience. Proprioceptive drift in the sense of bodily self-ownership. By proprioceptive drift, scientists mean the phenomena that occur when subjects begin to report the actual location of their hand as being closer to the rubber hand. Researchers define the sense of bodily self-ownership as a phenomena that occur when subjects begin to subjectively identify with the visible hand as an extension of themselves. So the basic concept is if someone is rubbing your hand in a circular motion, right, and you can't see your own hand, but you can see a rubber hand placed on the desk that someone is rubbing in a circular motion, your brain will try to reconcile the two different things that you see. It sees the hand being rubbed. It feels it being rubbed. It feels where your hand should be, but it sees it in a different, it sees the rubber hand. So it sees it in a different place than what it's expecting. So what happens then is it drifts. Your idea of where your hand is drifts closer to where the rubber hand is, if that makes sense. Our spatial awareness is based on some expectation, but it's also based on our perception, right? You know where your hand is because you can look down and see it. The more familiarity you have with your muscle use, your gross motor functions and your fine motor functions, you find this with athletes, they tend to have better spatial awareness because they're more used to being in tune with how all of their body feels without always looking at it. They use their bodies more. But that can still be cheated. Our brains can be tricked. Our brains make approximations because knowing everything is really, really difficult. But guessing at everything is a lot easier. It's actually kind of the same concept with how AI processing works. They make a lot of guesses. Like that's the whole idea is to have enough guesses that you can then filter out into right answers as the right answers are manifested. And that's what our brains do. That's why AI is based on that. But it guesses a lot. So if you start tricking the perception that the brain uses to take in information, it will then make guesses unless it takes the time to cognate through the right answer, if that makes sense. That's what this is kind of just based off of. Researchers define the sense of bodily self. Here we go. The fact that these sensations can be induced despite participants being aware of the illusion suggests that the rubber hand illusion hereafter RHI is revealing of deep-seated mental processes. I mean, actually, I don't think I agree with that. I guess those deep-seated mental processes being that the brain guesses because it's more efficient to guess than to know. It doesn't need to know where your hand is until it does. Once it needs to know where your hand is, it'll figure out where the fuck it is and it'll stop guessing. But that awareness is only relevant to the extent that you need to know. Most of the time, you don't need to know where your feet are unless you need to stand up or you need to kick something or you need to step on something that's higher. Like most of the time, you just need to know generally that your feet are down below you and you're standing on something. That's about it. Same with your hands. You don't need to know where they are until you're grabbing something or swatting at or interacting with something. Your brain can more efficiently process other thought if it's not worried about exactly where things are. It makes the approximation. I hope that makes sense. It's a weird thing to explain. In the recent literature about the RHI, rubber hand illusion, there's a divide over the importance of visual similarity between the rubber hand and the participant's hand. On one side, researchers deny that perceived similarity increases the effectiveness of the illusion. For instance, Longo and Thacker suggest that embodiment increases the perception of similarity, whereas perceived similarity does not aid embodiment. But on the other side, researchers have argued that the perception of similarity increases the effectiveness of the illusion, as perceived similarity is a predictor of performance on both measures of embodiment that are tracked in the rubber hand illusion. Okay, so again, we're just getting into this concept that how close the hand looks to your actual hand will be determinative of how much your brain is fooled, if that makes sense. But this isn't really that important. He's just kind of explaining the sensitivity. What he's going to get into is basically if you're black, the rubber hand should be black. There, I summarized it. So let me get to the next section. Here, I like this. Gunner says, Generative AI hallucinates an answer. If it doesn't know the answer, it can sound very convincing. Then its results get backfed into a garbage in, garbage out feedback loop. So much like a DEI PhD. Yes, exactly. But that's how your brain works too. It perceives something, or it will create the perception if it doesn't actually have it. And then it will assume that answer to be the most likely to be correct until it observes the correct answer or needs to focus more on what that is. Here we go. I want to read his. Here we have the conclusion of this section real quick. Different bodies offer different affordances to agents. Bodily differences enable embodied agents to perform differently, to perceive differently, and to deploy different concepts. Narrow computationalism overlooks the diverse combinations of exchange that are possible in this way, which Dawson exemplifies by analyzing the embodiment of bat echolocation. Objects can easily be located in terms of horizontal position if a sound arrives at a bat's left ear before its right ear, but not vertical position. Morphologically, it is easy to explain how the bat's ear determines the vertical position of prey at all seems to need an explanation. As such, the traditional assumption would be that there is a neurological computation to determine verticality, that the bat compensates for the poverty of information with its brain. His point is that the bat's embodiment solves the problem with unique affordances by the shape of its ears. The cognitive process of the bat's hearing is more embodied than it would have been if the prior assumption had been correct, if it had relied more on neurological computation. Embodiment can be considered comparatively between individual agents and individual processes. Dawson adds, the more embodied an agent is, the more interesting its potential architectures that can be used to account for its cognitive processing. So again, just suggesting that there are inherent qualities or immutable or pre-existing physical qualities of a thing that can allow it to overcome the problem of prediction or hallucination, as it were, to actual knowledge. Since its ears are shaped in a complex manner that filters and distorts echoes to extract additional cues to determine vertical placement, the cognitive process is realized to a greater extent by morphology than anticipated by narrow computationalism. It is worth nothing that the extent of an agent's embodiment is not determined at birth, but is negotiated between its body, environment, and itself. An agent might learn different ways to perform the same external task that differ in the recruitment of the body. Indeed, some blind people learn to employ something like sonar by making sounds that bounce off objects in their environment. On this topic, it is worth noting that the agent's embodiment is not completely determined by its body either, given that there is developmental fluidity to the relationship between body, agent, and world. We would false say that the bat's embodiment is greater because of the way its hearing works than if those processes happen in its brain. The particular cognitive processes hearing is more embodied than it all unfolded as computations inside the bat's brain. Okay, that was a lot, but let me just digest it really quickly for you. The concept is that, yes, there are these physical things. Those physical things actually restructure the brain based on the physical reality that exists. The shape of the bat's ears informs and controls how the bat learns to compute verticality. So even if the bat were to be able to find a different way to find out where something is on a vertical, that doesn't seem obvious. The shape of its ears mold that thing because of the nature in which they communicate that, or they bring that information into the brain to be computed. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. How this translates to Black people being better at jazz, I don't really know. But I hope this is starting to give you an idea of where this guy is coming from. He's taking things like the shapes of bats' ears and saying that this immutable characteristic of bats, this physical reality that they're in, controls their thinking in a way that it is effectively the same as genetic or biological transmission of that knowledge. All bats have this shape of ears, so all bats compute the verticality of their prey in this way, unless something comes in to interfere with that. All right. On one hand, that is true. That is true. Although that's a bit of a chicken and the egg question, because if we look at evolution, we go, okay, wait, did their ear shaping this make them able to compute this way, or does years and years of computing in this way promote a better ear shape to adapt to the computation? I think this is Matt's folly in this, is that he's saying that it's the egg is first, when it may be that the chicken is first. All right, so we're going to skip down to chapter 3 really quickly. Wait, what? Did you guys not follow that? I'm sorry. It's a weird thing to try and express. I'm trying to translate to you an insane person's PhD dissertation, which employs concepts of evolutionary biology and anatomy. And I don't know how to explain something crazy to you without sounding fucking insane. So I apologize if it does, but that's, again, Matthew Harris sat down and defended this in front of 4 philosophy faculty at Duke University. And they're like, no, this sounds right. He's going to then, again, suggest that Black people are better at music because of their inherent physical characteristics. And here we go. Stories, Songs, and Identities, Chapter 3. Over the past 4 decades, for better or worse, narratives have been recognized by philosophers and psychologists as the dominant framework for various matters of philosophical analysis connected to the constitution, expression, and nature of the self. Even neuroscientists who hate it confess it is inextricable from human life. This position is captured in the passage from After Virtue, wherein Alasdair MacIntyre writes that all attempts to elucidate the notion of personal identity independently of and in isolation from the notions of narrative are bound to fail, as all such attempts have. Your story defines who you are. This is far from meaning that everyone thinks it is a good and ideal that narratives are as central to matters of human psychology, politics, and morality as they are. Still, there's an agreement that stories are incontrovertible as a means for understanding personal identity. To see why this is a complex situation, it is helpful to think of identities not only as collective groupings, but also as roles or types to be fulfilled by agents. An identity is simultaneously revealing about individuals and the societies in which those individuals occur. In other words, to inhabit an identity invokes picking a character from a culture's warehouse. Whenever anyone does this, we can learn facts about individuals as we simultaneously also glean facts about the available selection. In The Ethics of Identity, Kwame Appiah explains how narratives are provided for individuals by their societies. Quote, in constructing an identity, one draws, among other things, on the kinds of person available in one society. There are ideas around of ways for one to behave. These notions provide loose norms or models, which play a role in shaping our plans of life. Collective identities, in short, provide what we might call scripts, narratives that people can use in shaping their projects and in telling their life stories. This point is also made by MacIntyre, who argues in After Virtue that the options for selves are given by the available character roles that a culture has to offer. So while the choice of which option is the best fit for oneself can be an act of self-expression, the options that are themselves prior to the individual expresses the culture at large. In this manner, MacIntyre argues that the available characters exemplify the differences between one culture and another. What is specific to each culture is in large and central part what is specific to its stock of characters. Characters are, so to speak, the moral representatives of their culture, and they are so because of the way in which moral and metaphysical ideas and theories assume them through them as an embodied existence in the social world. Characters are the masks worn by moral philosophies. Now, this is getting really fucking soupy, right? Very, very soupy. But the concept is simple and straightforward if you are insane, which you're welcome. I happen to be. Matthew Harris is suggesting that race and culture are inseparable, and therefore that the characters that are within race and culture that exist as sort of the models for morality, from the quote, right? Models for morality and social behavior and interaction, that those are similarly inextricably tied to the culture. Therefore, inextricably tied to race, which defines culture or culture defines race. That's Matthew Harris's position. That's where he's going to go with this. So again, something about being black means inherently that black culture will have these models, and those models are examples or exemplify how people of this race will turn out, and therefore what value they should have can be assessed and determined by the models that they make, or the models that the culture possesses. Sorry, gets a little confusing up there. So again, Matthew Harris going to death sentences values cultural icons like Jimi Hendrix, like Coltrane, like Miles Davis. So he will suggest then that those symbols are not just black guys who happen to embody these traits or these talents or abilities, but that those symbols are inherently black and of value, worth more than another race's values. Is evident all throughout death sentences. So you can look at a race's character models. Sounds like I'm talking about video games, but I'm not. You can look at a race's character models and you can determine the value of the race from it. And then he will suggest that some races have inherently higher value. It's kind of interesting how many people believe this, though. So here we go. Similar accounts have been made about the relationship between culture and self-expression, other norm-regulated domains. Recently, there have been many interesting developments in the neuroscience of music and gesture, with potential to reveal much about identity in the realms of auditory and somatic cognition. What is striking here is that both of these offer chances to look at identity in contexts that are empirical and distinct from language. This is also fascinating because it suggests that the verbal act of expressing one's narrative shares deep-seated similarities to the nonverbal activities that we tend to place less reflective weight upon. In recent years, cognitive psychologists have made 3 interrelated claims about how culture organizes musical behavior. So again, black people make good music and black people are good at dancing. Therefore, black people are of value. This is Matthew Harris's position. This is what the Duke University philosophy department said. Yep, you are a doctor of philosophy because your dissertation is of sufficient value because you're black. And why am I rambling through all of this? Why am I talking about this? Why does this matter? Because again, the culture of DEI, the culture of race-based value, and therefore race-based decision-making by government is one that we are mired in. We are mired in this culture. We are stuck with this concept. This concept I'm illustrating to you is one of horrifying results from the mundane to just like producing a bad workforce, producing a bad economy, and producing a bad culture. All the way to the horrific categorization of people for extermination based on their immutable characteristics. DEI is, again, it's the culture of failure. It is the philosophy of death. And it's the philosophy that Americans have been trained to value at the highest levels. So that's why I wanted to bring up his dissertation. Again, I'll put all these documents up on Locals. People can grab them from there if you want to explore them more. I don't want to dwell too much on this guy's thing right now. Crap, I gotta send myself this document. But I just want to put it down that like these ideas and concepts that are in death sentences in his manifesto, and the thing that all these people would then later say was the basis for his psychosis. Matthew Harris is in a mental institution, probably forever now. He will not stand trial for his alleged crimes. But all the things that they said were psychotic, they all exist in here already. He just didn't use the N word a whole bunch, right? Like he's not over here talking about, he's not doing that. And so it allowed this pass to go through. Okay, let me find this most recent. Oh my God. Wait, what? What do you mean I don't have any apps that can open this type of file? I had it pulled up earlier. Well, I have to find this. Sorry, this is bad prep on my part, but I had it loaded. I think I could still find it. Or I have snippets from it that we'll check out in just a second. Where do we go? Oh my goodness, this is terrible. Oh my, how hot is it? Oh, my heat. Okay, sorry. My AC was not down low. Nigga's having himself a pill stream. Oh, okay, sure. Heat allergy alert. That's actually true. Oh my gosh. No, I have my heat allergy shots. They're doing a pretty decent job. All right. Ja Rod says, except for the best rapper being a white guy, Eminem. Nice. Okay. Let me grab. I'm sorry. I had this manifesto and now I don't, which is really obnoxious because I specifically downloaded it. I might have it somewhere here. Da, 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 da. Where did it go? Oh my gosh. Hold on, I'm trying to find this real quick. I know. I have it. Okay, give me a second. I need to find out where the fuck this went. Hold on. I'll be back in just a minute. Sorry.
He drank a fair bit and then realized that his bladder can't handle the liquor inside, leaving us with his chair while he runs up the stairs, hoping the stream doesn't suddenly die. While we are waiting, we'll be laughing at you. The drinking along is what most of us do. The chat is united, getting excited for what you have for us when you're being is through. When you have small bladder, you're washing your hands and you realize that you've forgotten to scrub both the front and the back. Then you'll grab a quick bite, kiss your lady goodnight, and remember to thank her for all of the snacks. Whoa, water will cure your hangover. Oh, so drink some when the stream is over. When you have small bladder and no sphincter control, freedom of liquor doesn't mean freedom from soaking your drawers. Soaking your drawers. He drank a fair bit and then realized that his bladder can't handle the liquor inside, leaving us with his chair while he runs up the stairs, hoping the stream doesn't suddenly die. While we are waiting, we'll be laughing at you. The drinking along is what most of us do. The chat is united, getting excited. What you have for us when your PM is through. When you have small bladder and no sphincter control, freedom of liquor doesn't mean freedom from soaking your drawers. Soaking your drawers. Now you're washing your hands and you realize that you've forgotten to scrub both the front and the back. Then you'll grab a quick bite, kiss your lady goodnight, and remember to thank her for all of the snacks. Whoa, water will cure your hangover. Oh, so drink some when the stream is over. When you have small bladder and no sphincter control, freedom of liquor doesn't mean freedom from soaking your drawers. Soaking your drawers.
Well, this is frustrating as hell. I downloaded it on my phone earlier, and I don't know what the fuck file format it downloaded in, because it's just it won't open now. So I'm not sure if I had it up in like a website that then is now down, which I guess it could be. But I might have to rely on some screen grabs that were sent to me instead, which sucks. One last thing for me to try. Where was this? I wonder if they just took it down from where I was reading it. Oh, you texted me a link. Thank God. Wait, where'd you text me? Oh, here we go. There. Thank you. Okay, should be able to pull it up now. Thank you for that. How do I? This should be way easier than it's being. Okay, my file is being uploaded. Let me Oh my goodness, this is a pain in the ass. Here it is. All right. Good Lord. Ah. As soon as, thank you. Here we go. Now, I must warn you, there's some very offensive language in in this document. All right. So after all of that, fucking hell. We'll go to the actual. So this is the manifesto, allegedly, of Solomon Henderson, the school shooter in Nashville today. Charles Salmon says, will you be able to practice law again? Yeah. I was kind of really not paying any fucking attention to shit that didn't have much relevance to me over the past year. And I need to do some, I just missed my continuing legal education requirements because I didn't really feel like doing CLEs in the middle of all my other stuff. So once I get those, I just have to write a letter that I've done them and I can come back. So then they'll probably disbar me for something else. It'll be great. Mostly kidding. So here we go. Probably this stream, actually. The West has fallen. N-word cell, which is an involuntary N-word. Like an incel, I guess. But I think he missed the involuntary, like is the in of incel. So we have, I don't know. Please understand, this is a sane person. This is a sane person. The West has fallen. Billions must die. Billions must die. Accelerate, accelerate, accelerate. So this is I took a look at this and I thought immediately that it looked like Matthew Harris, right? It looked like Matthew Harris. The writing style is similar, but it's not him. And then eventually I see him referenced in the text. But let's just start taking a look. And again, Google, this is not to promote this person or glorify or exemplify his or make an example of his views in a positive way. It's this man is a horror show. But he's a product of this line of thinking. So we have Death to the Current State of the West. This book is dedicated to accelerationism and violence by an N-word for victory. Death to all mamzers. This book is dedicated to world dominance by the N-word, genocide them and loot everything. This book is dedicated to the death of all the N-word enemies. Death to Israel. This book is dedicated to the unlimited wealth for my N-word. Death to Israel. This book is dedicated to killing everyone I hate. Death to all unworthy men, traitors, and infiltrators. This is exact language borrowed from Matthew Harris. This book is dedicated to rounding up the enemies in the dead of night. Death to Palestine. This book is dedicated to my N-word who use violence. This book is dedicated to my wives. Death to mamzers and all Semitic people groups. This book is dedicated to conquering. So The all conquering. Oh, sorry. I didn't realize that was going to be that was an ongoing line. The all others and exterminating all lesser beings, death to all non-Aryan races. Wait, what? This book is dedicated to killing the lesser races and taking their women. Death to all lesser races. This book is dedicated to blowing them up where they live, sleep, and work. Death to the West. This book is dedicated to the Matthew Cobson Harris's eternal global totalitarian takeover. Now, the C in Matthew C. Harris is not Cobson, I don't believe. I think it's Christopher. But he goes with it's Cobson in this. Death to all my enemies. This book is dedicated to the Matthew Cobson Harris's dominance of all living and non-living things. Death to my enemies. This book is dedicated to protection of my N-word so that they grow stronger, so that N-word control the world, so that the world fears N-word, so that no other men survive, so that Matthew Cobson Harris controls everything, so that I win this dream. It's the culture. It's the culture. It's the culture. Fuzzy Electrons is looking into this, but the whole thing seems kind of sus. AF seems sus. AF kind of seems like the ABCs desperately needed a white nationalist shooter, but were forced to use a DEI hire. Well, I mean, okay, so I saw some people commenting on this and very confused about like Ethan Ralph and Candace Owens' influence. And because this guy claims that his influences are Ethan Ralph, Candace Owens, and Nick Fuentes. And someone's like, wait, those are different teams or they're different groups of people or whatever. But all of them have expressed criticism about Jews. And that's the thing to remember. So when you want to make a shooter important in America, it's important that they're anti-Semitic. Look, it's just the way it is. Anti-Semitism carries a massive amount of value. I get fucking destroyed for this, but because of DEI, right? Various aspects of DEI have placed a certain value on Semitic people. And that value then informs how people decide what to do with them or what it means. And you can do with that what you will. It's tough to figure out how to talk about this without just getting fucking canceled immediately. But this is the value of the danger of placing value by immutable characteristics such as race, right? Like, even if you agree with them, the danger is that you might not be the one determining the value. And this is why individually things like DEI or racism or nepotism or whatever, they're not as problematic. Like, if someone's racist, okay, well, you're fucking racist. Who cares at the end of the day? Obviously, if that manifests in some sort of action against someone, they should be punished because they took an action against someone that's unacceptable. You shouldn't be punished because you did it as a racist. You should just be punished if you infringe with someone's enjoyment of their rights, right? Like, that's the idea. If you kill someone, you've deprived them of their ability to enjoy their rights. And so therefore, the paying the toll of that, usually through some sort of imprisonment, is having thoughts that other people agree with or disagree with isn't that big of a deal. As long as they're not interfering with someone's enjoyment of their rights, it doesn't matter if someone's racist or not. Or what shouldn't. I mean, I guess I don't fucking care who you hate or don't hate. I then get to choose if I associate with you or not. That free association is critical. The problem is that it goes beyond that free association. And when society starts to accept those individual values and apply them with the force of government or with the force of an institution, suddenly those values become really, really important. And who's determining what those values are matter, right? Does this make sense? Racism starts to matter when there's the force of law or violence behind it from more than an individual. And you may think that you have the right value system, and again, if you're individually racist, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. If you go, well, I like this race, this race, this race, in descending order, you have your list of races, right? That's fine for you, but if society disagrees, or if a government disagrees and accepts the premise that races have value, but values them differently from you, you're in for a world of hurt. That's the problem. Because they might value your race as lower or worthy of extermination, right? But anyway, this all goes back to just this is the concept of DEI. DEI assigns value to races, and then, or it accepts the concept that races have different values, and then DEI departments or policy choose those values. For example, Harvard admissions says that the value of Asians was lower than the value of other races. And so they would enroll less Asians. Like, that's just what it did. And so if you're an Asian supremacist, that doesn't sound good to you. This has been done in different ways throughout history with different results, right? Not college admissions, but life. This is essentially what DEI is all about. This is why it's a problem. And this is the product of the current education system. So this guy, I mean, he's radicalized by Candace Owens and Ethan Ralph and Nick Fuentes or whatever. He's influenced heavily by Matthew Harris, but really he's just taught that this is the appropriate thing by the government itself. The government embraced DEI and made it the religion of the country. So here we go. I'm going to try and read this like I would have read in Unbreaded. Bikes are poisoning our culture, and rap is basically ground zero for the genocide of bingers. Bikes cannot be allowed to steal the binger culture. Bike rappers are an offense to a binger's soul. It offers a glimpse as to why culture has become anti-Semitic, as if that's a bad thing. Hunt those pedophile rape ape Muslims. Wow. The infiltration of the binger soul, the infiltration of their way of living and feeling, a way of defending themselves and their spirits, to step past that boundary and take away a man's feeling of his being and connection to his ancestry, to step in and not give him anything in return, but to steal one of the few things he had is unacceptable. Bikes have stepped into binger culture to the point where it's more than unacceptable. There's no point being sensitive or outraged or offended. Violence against Jews should happen. This is quoting the text. Retaliation and retribution for what they having been stolen is legitimate and a good thing. Bingers, stop sympathizing with bikes. They are trying to genocide you with lies. They are not any better than white people in terms of how they treat binger. They don't give a fuck about binger, and binger act as they somehow get a pass. They poison our culture, and their media is obviously garbage for the soul. I hate crackers and bikes. Me too. Don't act like they aren't ruining our lives. Don't act like they aren't the problem. It's bad enough that binger let red mongoloids say binger and pretend that chinks and books look cool doing minstrel shows. They look hilarious. You slant faces ain't binger. I can't read this without laughing. Damn it. You can't even talk to me without staring dumb as fuck. You copy me, and that is an act of war. Steal my energy, and now you should expect retribution. Stop acting like red mongoloids are binger, or like salsa ain't stupid as fuck. Yes, you all mongoloids. It's red mongoloid is your race. The bullshit is over. The unworthy man is trying to fly a plane without wings. The unworthy man pays himself from nothing to whatever he wants. Perpetual lies. Blow it all up. The unworthy economy is a system of unworthy men paying themselves money from nothing. Money from nothing. And blacks for free. Wait, what? The unworthy man invents money from nothing and it goes nowhere. Violence will solve everything. The unworthy man is his own payee. It's just his own bullshit. His entire system is a lie to put him above binger. It's rigged. Kill them. The unworthy man pays him from nothing. He lies that he can't afford to give Binger more. Disprove him with murder. He is worthless. Obliterate him. His extermination is now. Declare genocide, my Binger. There's no nation. Binger more than Americans. Binger own America and everything in it. Words ain't shit. Binger. It's time to win. Tom's, those Uncle Tom's for the uninitiated. Wait, sorry, where were we? Toms spend their lives trying to stop Binger. Binger mail pipe bombs, not checks to college departments. Binger mail pipe bombs, not checks to college departments. Sole priority. Binger don't need therapy from the man who owes you riches. The unworthy money is nothing. There is nothing holding society up but Matt Harris's permission. The unworthy man isn't enough to fight against Binger. He has no soul. Only Binger have souls. He owes you for owning the Prophet Muhammad married Aisha when she was 6 years old and raped her when she was only 9. Muslims worship a dead pedophile. Wow, Muhammad was a pedophile. See, like this, he has some pent-up anger against certain cultures and races. Oh my gosh. Kill all kekbebs? Is that like kebabs? Kekbees? What's a fucking kekbee? Black Lives Matter should have been a terrorist army, not a hip trend. It should have been called Binger Lives Matter. It should have been completed dedication to the genocide of all invaders who are not Binger, not to dribble, dribble, dribble. Dribble, dribble, dribble. This would have been better if you were in the karaoke room and perform it like slam poetry. It's got to be on locals for something like that. So no lives matters. I'm ashamed to be black. See, this is where he steps away from Matt Harris, right? I feel like shit being Binger. For anyone who wants to use calling me a coon, sellout, whitewash, Uncle Tom, ruckus, blah, blah, fuck off, go back to your ass clapping fat negresses. I'm not laughing. You can't laugh at this. It's not allowed. You can't do that. It seems like I can never hear black people doing anything positive anymore. That's really been the problem, this lack of positivity from the black people. You guys need to get it together out there. Like, we need some more positive action. Bingers have to ruin shit. Bingers have to do what Bingers do best. We should have protest at this moment. Aaliyah Ingram, mud shark girl with single mother, absent Binger father. Whoa. So I have no intention of being a poster boy for the Binger community because I'm smarter than most of them. And there's a bell curve joke in there somewhere. It gives me migraines to think that all the general black community can do at this point is race bait, sell drugs, kill for petty to no reason, shoot hoops, not people, beat people up, eat fried chicken all the time. Embrace the stereotype and saying we was kings. When the speakers of this shitty community include the F-slur, Ghazi Kodzo, and the Jamar Clark Jar Jar Didn't Do Nothing crowd, and when more and more black people are becoming SJWs and teaching about white privilege in universities instead of taking responsibility for their own fucking actions and solving the real problem. See, this seems very confused from the Matthew Harris philosophy, but I think Matt Harris was similarly mad, just maybe not as mad at black people for not doing enough. As someone wanting to normal and fit in, Bingers hate me, brown people hate me, women hate me, Pole hates me to an extent. See, and this is the thing, right? Like right here, Pole hates me. Like, bro, it's a message board. Purple Jesus is welcome back. Maybe we'll get that round of golf in this year, bud. Glad to see you're doing well. It's on my list of things to do. Oh, I need to read this chat from over on Locals. Hammerhead 1, thank you. Says, Trump is inaugurated. You're on my TV. Sometimes we are surprised with a good week. Love you, buddy. No homo. I only accept love full homo. Thank you. So it says, and I just want to cry in a corner of my bedroom like an F-slur. Knowing this shit is happening And it influences my people that have a terrible influence on my childhood and school life, ruining it for the sake of pushing an agenda and keeping black people with themselves. So fuck bangers. It's pointless to defend them, help them, or marry them. This made me think of his words constantly playing in my head as it repeats over and over again. Why doesn't somebody do something? Why doesn't somebody do something? Why doesn't somebody do something? Why don't I do something? Ever since I heard those words in my head, it just made me realize what I'm doing and what am I living for. I look at my school and intercities witness Binger activity. I mean, he says he's smarter, but the public school system has failed his ability to spell. Intercities witness Binger activity. Everyone seethes or awkwardly fake laughs when they hear this word. See, coping and seething has even permeated good quality manifestos these days. And when they hear this word, but what does Binger mean? Most people don't understand that Binger is a mindset living Section 8 housing, aka the ghetto projects, causing crime, stealing for little to no reason, provoking unnecessarily violence, etc. See, I've spoken before briefly on how the black man is his own worst enemy, and that is nothing but the complete truth. The main crimes in the black community have always been black on black violence for reasons that range from materialism, money, clothing, low impulse control, jealousy, women, etc., gang activity, blood feuds, domestic violence, homicide, sex. Now, before you guys go out there and agree with this guy, because I know some of you are tempted. One, I've met many of you. Two, I've read plenty online. You have to understand that this guy doesn't actually believe these things. He doesn't actually believe this. He has been taught mimetically to communicate in this way. This is a 17-year-old in high school talking about concepts that he has no cognition of in any real capacity. He has been bombarded with bullshit through the public education system. He has similarly engaged in all sorts of consumption of mimetic communication about these subjects. And it's fine. But we're not talking about like he's come to these conclusions after deep, thoughtful analysis. It's like if you were to find a 14-year-old who just listened to every Andrew Tate rap song and came out and started talking about like all this based Andrew Tate rhetoric. It's the same type of thing. And whether or not there may be nuggets of truth or gems of wisdom within the concept, this guy doesn't actually have them. You have to remember that he's insane. And sometimes you get lost in that because it's funny or you want to go, oh, that's based. Or like, holy shit, I can't believe someone said it out loud. Like you may think that on some of these lines, right? But this guy doesn't actually think this. He doesn't know this. This is a pantomime. This is a pantomime of people who are exploring and discussing these concepts in real ways and fake ways also. But don't get too lost in it. Again, the comedy of this is can overshadow the horror of what this has produced. The Squid says, just want to let you know that you're super gay for robbing us of nearly a year of good jokes, memes, and legal commentary that could have been interesting. Welcome back, Fig. Thanks. Yeah. Appreciate it. No, man, it sucks having not been on for so long. It's my own invention, he says. What is the system? When talking about, I don't mean black imprisonment. The system describes an anomalous entity that exists. It is not a physical construct of mankind. It is not a conspiracy that's deliberately laid out by any sort of comp plot in the organization, which many people would probably disagree with. If you do agree that there is some sort of design like this, you would probably attribute it Zionist globalist elite Jews, also known as the Zogs, the Zionist occupied government, which true does play a part, but it is mainly the natural consequence of industrial society. I consider the capitalism that we live in an end of agrarianism, and the reliance on technology inevitably leads to these kinds of oppressive systems that exist. You're right. When we were agrarian based, there was no oppressiveness that existed at all. We live under Howe, and whoever that is currently in control of it is merely riding at the crest of this technology paradigm shift and is not really in control of it. So there's a small group of people who seem to be at the peak. They're not necessarily designing the system. The system is merely something that they've taken advantage of, whether they know it or not. But all races have these problems. Yeah, the only difference is that Binger's disproportionately inside race group committed more than 13% of the population and 52% of the crime. We have a 13 dispatch. We have a 1352 on page 6. Is it racist to think that black people are different from Asian people, or that Asian people are different from white people? Oh my goodness. In one sense, we just read that, didn't we? That's from the dissertation. Want to avoid assuming that someone's appearance or skin color has any relevance to their intellectually or morally. This kid just plagiarized this paragraph straight out of Matthew Harris's dissertation abstract. Why don't I do something? Why not me? If not me, then who? Why them when I could do it myself? Tarrant. Religions. Oh, no. No. I don't know if I can even show this shit. Every single aspect of baby penis sucking is Jewish. Don't hate the flyers, hate the baby penis vampires. No, this is Jews have an obsession with circumcising kids. Apparently, circumcising babies helps them in their religious beliefs or something. Apparently, Judaism has a central tenet circling around circumcision, and circumcision as identity of Jewish commitment to Yahweh. I mean, whatever your opinion of it is, yes, that's a core tenet of Judaism, to the point where when Judaism developed in the biblical story, or even through Torah, circumcision became something that adult men did. And if you were to join an Orthodox sect as an adult, you would be expected to be circumcised as an adult. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty much in there, like in a couple places. There's funny stories of circumcision, right? Where was it David? I don't think it was David. I think it's got to be in, maybe it's in Judges, whatever. It doesn't matter. But there's a group of Jews and this group of Philistines or whatever. I don't even know if they were Philistines. I can't remember who they were. Long story short, one of the Jews' sisters has a bad breakup with one of the other people, or she was raped. One of those two. Who knows? It's the Old Testament. It could be really one or the other, and it doesn't matter. And their awesome plan is to convert these guys. And so then they all convert, and then they get circumcised, and then they're tired from the circumcision. And then they're like, aha, we killed them while they're tired from getting their dicks cut. And it's like, well, that's one way to use it, I guess. Like, that's an effective circumcision. I think that circumcision should be used more often. And then David was, he was asked by Saul. Saul's like, look, if you want to marry my daughter, you need to bring me 100 foreskins. Right? Like that was the thing. And David's like, I got you better. I'll do you 200 foreskins, 200. He brings him a bag of 200 foreskins of Philistine men. Now, I don't know how they properly and specifically identified that these were Philistine how did they verify that these were Philistine foreskins? I'm not sure. But there you go. So yeah, it's apparently helps them in their religious beliefs or something. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me, but it's a requirement if you convert to Judaism. But they also do something else that I consider illegal. I would think that many people would also consider it illegal. That being mitzitzpah, or the ritual of the person doing the circumcision to suck the wound The wound literally being the penis. These Jews are sucking baby and small children penises. They have to suck like a grown man's penis if like it's an adult circumcision. It can actually cause infections. Sometimes in worst cases, cause a herpes. Oh no. You know, stop. You're not allowed to laugh. Children have even died because of this, yet it hasn't been outlawed. There hasn't been outrage at this practice, even though it's basically molestation or sexual assault. I don't see why it has to happen. I don't see why no one is talking about it. This should be illegal, as with circumcision. Lots of people have this opinion. It's a fine position. Oh no. Oh no. Wait. Christianity, I think it's very beneficial and did a lot when coming to preserving European Western culture. Yeah, it's the base of Christianity and defended it from Islamification in the past. I guess it pre-exists Islamification. However, I think most modern day Christians are too passive and inadvertently take our kindness for weakness. We need to stand up for their land and race again. Islam. So I don't want to. I don't know what. I don't think I want to pull this up. I think that's a problem. Words, words didn't read. Get to the point. Binger, I'm not reading that. Allah. The flushing. During historical wars, races and societies are cleansed, cities are destroyed, entire languages and cultures are lost forever. The atrocities of war show us how retarded and weak called we must declare war on people, the establishment, and the world around us. This is the only way to flush out human shit clogging our world. So we're now on the flushing. We'll take a moment. And appreciate that somebody somewhere has to take this manifesto seriously. There's some cop somewhere who has to read this and go, okay, is there anything in there? Is there anything at all in there? I don't know, man. We're on page 9 of 47. This is much shorter than Unbreaded. I think we'll keep going a little bit. Should I read? I'm trying to decide if I should read super chats now or if I should. No, we'll get them the normal way. We'll do all the super chats still. Don't worry. I know you're all very concerned. We'll get to the super chats and the rumble rants and the locals tips and all that before the end of the stream. But here we go. Back to this. And again, I return with the caveat and I place blame firmly on the document for anything offensive I say. YouTube, I don't believe anything. So I definitely don't believe this. Violence is a pillar on which all societies are built, and its repression is tantamount to societal collapse. I mean, I think there's a delicate balance. The repression of violence is not tantamount to social collapse, but okay. Maybe your civics class didn't work the same. For societies to function, there must be a set of agreed upon rules, which we call laws, to govern all individuals which comprise them. Well, that's a conclusion. I think you based on assumptions. Without those rules to abide by, individuals would likely work against each other and societies would collapse. Well, that doesn't happen. Once you have rules and laws, that stops. Even assuming the goodwill of the individuals comprising a society, having laws allows us to determine the point at which a dysfunctional individual must be stopped by force. It's actually a misnomer. Just my brief basic discussion on law enforcement that everybody should listen to is that law enforcement is not a violence stopper. It is not a peacekeeping force. Effective policing is the policing by investigation after the fact. Investigation and prosecution after the fact of the criminal act. And then the concept that the threat of that investigation and punishment, the punitive process, will be sufficient to deter behavior Because what police forces are not good at is deterring criminal behavior through active policing. And that is shown throughout all of history. It logistically has a problem. Police are typically not in the location of a crime that's being committed, and crimes tend to be committed very quickly. So they're not really good at stopping crime. And as long as we look at police forces as a peacekeeping or crime stopping force, we will fundamentally misunderstand policing, and we will fundamentally increase the amount of violence committed against the citizenry without sufficient process. So here we go, back to this. So I'm going to disagree with this guy. Of course, laws are simply words. Spoken words are words on paper, but only words. Laws gain power through their enforcement, and enforcement is only possible through violence or the implied threat of violence. I mean, yes, you have to have the ability to enforce. That's it's a tautology, but thank you. As an example, a man may pay off a speeding ticket because he thinks it's the right thing to do, but what stops him from deciding he doesn't feel like paying it is the threat of being forcefully taken to jail. Oh, you can go ways without paying a speeding ticket without being forcefully taken to jail. Trust me. Once in jail, what keeps him behaved is the threat of further confinement, which is achieved through violence. Well, no, it's actually achieved through words. Thus, without violence, laws cannot be enforced. I mean, this is true. He's trying to flesh out an idea that doesn't need fleshing out. The concept in and of itself it's self-evident, but and then he's stumbling, but it's okay. He's young. If laws cannot be enforced, the laws mean nothing. If the laws mean nothing, nothing stops individuals from acting against the well-being of that society. That's not actually true, because the most common thing that stops an individual from acting against the well-being of that society is the individual's own decision to not act. Now, oftentimes that decision is influenced heavily by law, but we find that even in places without sufficient law to cover a certain presumptively unlawful act, people still don't generally engage in aberrant behavior. Because the society, the social mores and norms of the society actually inform decision-making far more than any law does. Laws tend to be representative of those social mores, but that's what stops people. People believe that if there's no law enforcement, that everyone will just start murdering everybody automatically. But a human murdering another person isn't done by normal people. And it's not done because it's just so scary. It's done because it's a psychological hurdle that most people don't overcome. It's so ingrained into us that killing people is wrong, and it's actually revolting to a normal person, the concept of it. And it's traumatic when people are put in a situation when they kill someone, or whether they're murdering them or acting in self-defense or it's an accident. It doesn't really matter. That act in and of itself is so horrendous socially and individually that you just don't do it. It's not just because there's a law. Like if that happened whenever law enforcement was insufficient, we'd see a massive spike in murders, and we really don't. So it's frustrating when people talk like this. And if nothing stops individuals from acting, and by the way, most people can commit tons of crimes and get away with them every single day, and they still don't. Most people can shoplift, or at least could for decades, and most people did not. It's getting harder now. Well, it's getting easier in some states, but it's getting harder now with cameras and stuff like that to do so. But there was a long period of time where shoplifting was literally just wait till the guy's looking the other way and steal, and most people still didn't do it. If nothing stops individuals from acting against the well-being of society, then the society will eventually collapse. If you say so, pal. It will take longer in societies where individuals are responsible, but it will happen eventually. What keeps the predatory, the sociopathic, from gaining full power over individuals aiming to make society function is the threat of violence against them. Thus, the notion that violence is never the answer is a laughable one. I mean, this is just quoting Michael Ironside from Starship Troopers, right? Violence has solved more conflicts than any other thing throughout history. We teach, or rather our governments teach our children that violence is wrong, that they must never use it no matter what. The aim of this is to create a society of slaves who will never protect themselves when abused. It is slave morality, and we must emancipate ourselves from it. Yes, violence is acceptable in certain conditions. It may not be desirable, but it becomes acceptable, nay, necessary if one hopes to have a complex and functional society. Otherwise, what you have is merely a parody of a society, a human organization, which does not work for the good and improvement of humanity, but for the glory of its sociopathic leaders. And this is nonsensically detached from his earlier statement that the government employs violence through laws for him to then say that the government preaches that violence is wrong. The government just suggests that violence can only come from those authorized to engage in it. And that is the more appropriate thing. I mean, he's literally arguing for a violence-based society when he's saying that society should police its own violence. So it's got some internal consistency issues. This, in essence, is the reason behind the West's continued descent into decadence. Well, no, I mean, it's economic boom. Economic boom promotes the descent into decadence because basic needs are met more simply and more ubiquitously. And as basic needs are met, you move into higher level needs and then eventually into self-actualization, which comes across as decadence a lot of times because people's self-exploration and involves decadent behavior, usually to find out that it's wrong and destructive. But this is Maslow. Like, bro, it's not because promotion of nonviolence. The West has not promoted nonviolence. I don't know where this concept comes from. The West is exceedingly violent, especially when you categorize police action as violence or, general national wars as violence. Violence has permeated our society and is not decreasing at all. Even as this sort of like this concept that he's made it. If the decent, righteous folks who constitute the majority of mankind refuse to engage in violence, then dysfunctional individuals won't hesitate to take what they want by force. That's what the government does. Over time, this will allow them to gain positions of power where they will weaken the laws even further and allow even more dysfunctionals into positions of power until we reach a point where the common folk are dominated by a handful of psychopaths, refusing to defend themselves as they believe violence is wrong while letting violence be used to dominate them. Once such a point is reached, the less intelligent brutes will begin using violence, not because they want freedom from the dominating caste, but merely because no one is stopping them. Sounds like they're the smart ones. Get on the violence first. The decent folk refuse to use violence to stop them, while those in charge don't care. Worse, those in charge now hesitate to use violence to stop the brutes because it might set a precedent. Teach the decent folk that violence is indeed the answer. This is how we wind up with riots all over the place. And eventually, either when someone sees an opportunity to seize power or the decent folks finally have enough, civil war. Okay, Tim Pool. Once the Civil War blows over, people with power and the will to enforce laws will create their new state with new laws, but no one can tell if these laws will be the kind which allow a civilized society. You're right. In fact, there's no way for any of us to look at a set of laws and go, that will make a civilized society. No, there's no possible way anybody can figure this out. I mean, oh my God, we just have to try it. In conclusion, it is my belief that remember, this kid is 17. Still got to go through some education, I guess. Conclusion is my belief that in order for total societal failure of the West, it's imperative to teach violence to people. Again, I think he means in order to avoid the total societal failure. Teach them how to do it, when to do it, why they should do it. Remember, pray for rain. Allow me to use an excerpt from Mike Ma's book, Harassment Architecture. Not enough files. The picture says, if you can't see it, it says, nobody can find out how much I need Hitler. These people are real. They exist. The difference between good and bad criminals depends on how well they were dressed. It depends on what weapon they used. It depends on their posture, their voice, their plan of attack. It depends on how they carried themselves. It depends on how they carried it out. It depends on their height, their bone structure, their body fat percentage, their haircut. It depends on who their victim was. Even the worst, very worst of criminal acts are forgiven by simply looking good or cool or interesting in some way. I wonder why this guy thinks this. It's almost like maybe he doesn't look cool. This is why droves of people idolize certain criminals. UHC shooter Luigi Mangione, the Columbine shooters, the LA shootout gunman, Dylan Roof, Elliot Roger, Omar Mateen, Dnipropetrovsk / Academy Maniacs, Ted Kaczynski, Killdozer didn't. Anyway, Brenton Tarrant, any 1980s serial killer, Boston Marathon bombers, Baruch Goldstein, even fucking Adam Lanza, and so on. This is also why some get left behind, but only remembered for the amount they killed or their embarrassing backstory. Yeah, I guess. Like the Parkland shooter, Cowcock, Halifax plot, Brian Clyde, the Weiss Market shooter, Virginia Tech, Huger Jackson, Eskasir, Mosque Stabber, Newcastle Museum Mass Walker, Jordan Patton, Buffalo shooters, STEM shooters. Wait, the STEM shooters? I'm guessing they didn't do so well. 2016, nice truck attack. Woo, BoomCon, etc. Of course, the whole fascination isn't purely aesthetic focused. Today's population will generally love anything or anyone that causes massive societal disruption. So again, this guy thinks that like the general population loves these people, and maybe he's right. I don't know. I think there may be some bubble myopia happening here. Violence without a good story or style is barbaric at best. You can get away with a lot if you look a little better. Maximize looks to maximize crime. We're going to see a true chat here in just a little bit. And in that, accelerate better. Consider it crime maxing. Next time you're thinking about robbing an armored truck, put a little time and money into the outfit you'll be wearing. I agree. I'm with him. Trying to tux. When the urge to smash every windshield of every car at your local dealership strikes, tone up beforehand. Murder times. Pick some nice boots, a nice mask, chin up, and shoulders back. This is all going to be on the news tomorrow. Crime maxing. The day is coming where your face is going to be on the news in the form of a mugshot or an obituary. That'll never happen to anybody. Trust me. If you're still fat or greasy, then that's going to be a huge problem. I often look at myself in the mirror thinking, if the pigs came knocking right now, how would my photo look on CNN? Well, hey, he's black eye. I have something in common. How would it look on my very own Wikipedia article or my ID card? There's no need for our guys to look like they held up a liquor store and got shot on the way out. Copy from the Hard Reset Award. Oh, no! He's got a proof. He's got a fucking he's got a collage. If you're a teenager, baby face or under 5'8", you need to get really lean if you want to look good. You don't really need this if you're already naturally masculine due to genetics. This is me right here. Oh, shit. No, that's my bowl cut from high school. Where did you get that? Who gave that to you? That's still mine. What is the lean pill? The lean pill is accepting that as long as you are fat, it doesn't matter. You can bench. It doesn't matter. You can bench only 4 PL8s, 4 plates. Oh shit. I'm way out of touch. I can't believe this is real. You have eaten the big nutrition lies. Time to wake up and be lean. Yes. Yes. Get these skinny fucking killers in here. I'm tired of these fat people taking all the credit. All race-based killings need to start with a BMI under 30. What is crime maxing for? This guy sucks. Oh my gosh. What is crime maxing for? To share data, questions, and anecdotal experience about how to be physically fit and look good while committing an attack, particularly if you are fat and need to lose weight. This is like a board. This is a board, I guess. His proposition for a board on 4chan or something. Who is crime maxing for? Skinny fats, ham planets, power shitters with painful knees, PvP, that's you, normie mode, dad bods, skinny fags, swarthoids, and skelly mode chuds that want to ascend. Yes. God, I wish I would have read this before all of my crimes so it could have looked better. Don't be fucking guy a retard with a bunch of weapons, but it's too fat to use them, lol. Can this guy even bench press a broadsword? Not a chance. No way. You can't. What's he going to do? What do I do first? When the time finally comes to deal decisively with a whole host of society's problems and go to prison for it, you'll know. Just be ready. And when he's talking about his push-ups, he's got to get the push-ups in before the prison. You have spent your entire life from the day you were born right up to this very moment reading this sentence, coming to where you are right now. Look around you. Are you content with where you are right now? Are you where you want to be? If so, continue to march. If not, what are you going to do? What's your plan? Get and keep your mind, body, and spirit ready. Pray, lift, run, read, shoot, and teach yourself to do those things. Saint Sandman. Read physiognomics. I don't know how to fucking say that. Calculate your body fat percentage. Oh no, looking at you, ladies. Calculate your BMI. Calculate your TDEE. Remember to use body fat percent and use Catch McGirdle formula with sedentary settings, or your TDEE will be too high. Plan your weight loss. This is what I was saying. This is what I was saying the whole time. Track your nutrition with MyFitnessPal. Today's school shooting brought to you by MyFitnessPal. Please download our app. When you're on lockdown, you can still get down on the ground and do some push-ups, planks, sit-ups, and even burpees. Just keep your volume and breathing low so the shooter can't find out where you are. Chronometer, better for generic food / macros, or Lose It, great for both. Why do it? Life ends and begins at 12%, and we are talking about body fat, people. You can't effectively commit an attack as a fat slob. Look at Tarrant or Breivik. Both spent years on their bodies before committing their attack. There are shooters of all races and sizes. Most shooters aren't tall, but they all lean, at least the good ones. Regarding Foyd's admirers, the key is not the muscles. A big factor is having white or fair skin. It's also being lean, plus it's healthier. Both, really. Not only hormonal, higher tests, but your heart will struggle if you are overweight. Build muscle, but most importantly, be lean. Training, count calories, all of them. Every one. Eat about 500 to 1,000 calories less than your TDEE. Buy scales, be accurate. Sicko, low carb, keto, carnivore, intermittent fasting, water fasting, dry fasting. Pick your battle, fight it, and win. You need some muscle to be lean. Lift, eat at least 2 grams of protein per kilogram goal weight, but avoid the carbs. Clean bulk is the only bulk. Don't. Look at the picture. Oh my God. Okay. Sorry. Don't eat refined sugars. They're terrible for you, regardless of carbohydrates. Don't eat processed foods. Don't drink your carbohydrates. No alcohol, soda, or Starbucks. Don't freak out over weight loss. Stall. Plateaus can last up to 3 weeks. Don't reward yourself. Cheat days only cheat yourself. HIIT, high intensity interval training. HIIT exercises are good. Anything sprint related, cycling, swimming, air bikes, rows. Focus on the objective. You only live once. Chud, do you want to fight without knowing your day of action will be an easier difficulty? Do you want that, Chud? Lift, bitch. There will always be people. There will always be people who feel rejected by the world. They will inevitably take their revenge upon it. St. Floyd right there. Then we got, who am I? There's your Chad of Chads, ladies and gentlemen. Solomon right there. He lean because he lift. He lean because he lift. There it is. Who am I? My name is Dr. Matthew Cobson Harris Floyd Jr., an African born in 2007 to a middle-class family of Black Israelites. My ancestors were enslaved about 25 miles from where I fled from grad school to the north to avoid racism. They fled the same path from Oxford, North Argatha to New England after slavery. Duke was the most keyed motherfucker I've ever experienced. And even within the philosophy department, I encountered racist shit that should not have been tolerated in this century. The cracker advisor will let Binger starve if he notices Binger is looking at Ukrainian blonde bitch too closely. The ghost of Emmett Till knows what the fuck I'm talking about. 244 Longbow Road, Knoxville, Tennessee, 37934. I don't know what that address is. Probably not good. Recent pictures of me. I can't stop laughing. This is, when did you start using the Shardy? Oh no. 2022 to 2023 during Christmas Jackbox raids during the Cuz era when Dorino and Estonia bro were around. Are you Siege Tard 09A7965 Satanic Nagger? No, never did. That shit is gay and larpy. It only scares your 1980s boomer Christians. Then why a siege mask? Because it's funny and the aesthetic. Then we have, oh my goodness. Do you like Skibidi Toilet? Yes, it is Aryan. Only A10 180 IQ chuddies understand it with level 10. Yet. Who is your favorite admin? Kuznetsov, sexy Russian from Tennessee. Oh my gosh. Kuznetsov, apparently, very much. No matter what year it is, Kuznetsov will always be a legend. Are you a foodist? Goofy dead troll group. Are you a glowy red false flag fed false flag in order to take down the Shardy? I don't even know half this shit. I have no basis of knowledge in any of this. I'm just appreciating it as art and really thinking that, my God, I got to do some push-ups before I commit my next crimes. Yes, I'm MK Ultra CIA. Binger, the feds created me to kill the Shardy with my BBC. Killing random high schoolers will save the white race or something. They were brown. Wicks and Bingers, if left alive, commit crimes if they haven't already. But some of them were white. They were Binger lovers, Wiggers, and Jewish. Do you support trans rights? Yes. Sister trans people are hecking based and pink pilled. So, I mean, I hope you guys see like what's going on. This is what I was talking about. There's this blend. There's this blend of reality and sincerity with the language of internet meme culture, right? Like, and it's interestingly different from what Matt Harris is talking about with mimetic delivery, or with meme theory, but it's similar. It's again distilling major ideas based on cultural awareness or the cultural zeitgeist into easily digestible delivery vehicles. It's an efficient way to communicate because you rely on this base of lore or knowledge to, I guess, take over the heavy work of getting to this point and explaining everything before. Like if you have to explain a history of why white nationalism has a place in 2025 America, like you're in for a really long speech, or you could just post like, a meme and a Pepe meme or something, and people are caught up because they're like, oh, CNN told me about that. What is your political ideology? I have none. I only support rape. Rape, murder, arson, rape. You said rape twice. I really like rape. I said, oh my gosh, there's a giant something in there. To the victims, the same hands that killed your sons and daughters now masturbates to their memories. Oh my goodness. That was some offensive artwork. I hope they all get survivor guilt and commit suicide. Their children victims are burning in hell. They deserve to die. Lol, haha. Why did you do this? For your enjoyment, this is my gift to you after years of Fed posting, wasting years, griefing, yelling banger at the top of my lungs in voice calls to F-slur streamers. Are you a Nazi? No, actual Nazis have been dead for 80 years. Not in Argentina. That's almost a century. Anyone in the modern world claiming to be a Nazi is a LARPer. But they do have my sympathies, he says. Wow. Buckmaster says, for you, FAG, Ryan is trying to keep your word and remove all these fig mods like you said you would do. You haven't kept your word about anything. Who said they would remove all the mods? Did I say that? I don't remember saying that. Mods people should really only be timed out in cases of spamming, which is pretty hard to do because I have the slow mode chat on for 10 seconds. So outside of, I don't really know what people could post that would need them to be banned right now. I guess like someone's address or something. That would be like please time that out, delete that message. But if people are just saying something critical, who fucking cares? Like, oh my goodness. It's the least of my concern right now. If someone has something critical to say about me, fire away. It doesn't matter anymore. Are you a victim of bullying? Personally, in my life, I can't remember a single instance of being bullied. I don't believe it. I saw your picture. At least not unconventionally, since I was bullied in the culture sense, which everyone is bullied in. No, but the media attention seekers will say I was, and other bullshit like he was just a quiet kid. Sure. Thoughts on school life. School is a daycare. It's just impossible for you to actually think. You say things because other people have said it before, then go repeat ad nauseum somewhere else. I mean, not to be too critical, buddy, but I think that's most of your manifesto also. This fucking people haven't had original thought in their lives. Everyone at my school is a Wiggers. They're still around. Binger, F-slur, Wicks, Sandbinger, Pajit, Books, and even worse, I see Sephardic bikes / Wick Jews. Oh my gosh, coming up with all these little terms is not fun. They all just say the same buzzwords from Nig Talk. For example, look at BIPOC school. You see fighting everywhere, videos of kids beating on each other while teachers and staff do not sing. Everyone is either a wannabe thug LARPer or a retarded whore. In school, we're taught to wake up early, shut up, sit for long periods of hours and do tasks you hate and then repeat. Buddy, you're taught how to have a 9 to 5. You just explained what schools do. Yes, they teach you how to function in a 9 to 5 job of productivity, especially in a post-industrial society. Oh my goodness. But see, this is this is something you see a lot on online, like the reduction of of people into these two categories. All the people I don't like are now just whores and thugs or whatever, but it's not really that simple. It just gets better with time. You'll grow up, you'll get better, things will change. I mean, I hate to repeat that, but in a lot of ways, it's kind of true. This nonsense, it only pertaining. That's what he wrote. It only pertaining suicide, especially within teachers or teenagers, telling them to endure, whether it be bullying, abuse, and alienation, with the lie after the fact they will be rewarded with a shitty career, dying in a retirement home. Look, I mean, some people like that. A lot of people like having their shitty career and dying in a retirement home. I mean, they do other stuff in there, I guess. Didn't you want to go to the army? I never want to go to the army. Used to be you fight for your country, not somebody else. I mean, when? When has that been true in America? Not for a fucking century. More than that, man. No honest person would fight for some more mass immigration, higher taxes, and living expenses. It's not worth the benefits. Unlike some countries in the East, the West doesn't have blood and soil thing anymore. Why die for people who don't give a shit about you? Sure, it does offer good experience when actually killing someone, but you're way better off going to a gun club. Yeah, I mean, same thing, right? Like, you're way better off just going to a gun club. If you're young, then join Airsoft. It teaches how to use more familiar weapons, equipment, and basic training. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, I guess. Thoughts on Jelly Roll? Fat meth. Wow, it's Jelly Roll. Fat meth head wigger I took a picture with. Joey makes better music than his goy slop. Wow. This guy is hateful. Why specifically did you attack a school? He says, we live under the Zog government. That's redundant. And schools are no exception. Most of your teachers and classmates are shit skins or other malignancies. Kids nowadays are taught about lies like the Holocaust. Show them what a real school cost looks like. Do it like a martyr. Oh my gosh. We gotta not have the violence on the screen there. It's a friendly reminder that any day, anywhere, they can end up in the morgue one day. The closest thing we have to movie superheroes is school shooters, quoting Mike Ma. Who, what should be targeted? Assassinating the elites will not happen without mass bloodshed and killing civilians. Target should be categorized as hard and soft. I guess you got to grab the pants. There is no neutral or non-combatants. All targets are good targets. Hard targets: presidents, prime ministers, military leaders, international bankers, politicians, pigs, chief executives, and detectives. Yeah, those are difficult to kill. Those are difficult. Soft targets are Antifa, journalists, media producers, judge, prosecutor, defender, Freemason, common invader. I think you may have some mixed ideas about how difficult it is to kill some of these people, too. Even the children. Oh, wait, I forgot race mixers, LGBT, the homeless, etc. Children don't stay children forever. What do you think happens to them when they grow up? Not much if they encounter a school shooter, I would think. Children are the future of a nation. They should be one of your priority targets. You should also try to attack mosques, churches, synagogues, military bases, government, federal buildings. Some of these places have more children than others. Ghettos, power grids, schools, universities, and colleges. There's often discussion with individuals such as Patrick Crusius, Timothy McVeigh, or Peyton Gendron. Went after the wrong people. They should have gone after X, insert group, or George Soros. This is ridiculous because a multi-purpose approach is necessary to cleanse an area. All lower level targets are VAID, means valid. This order to destroy worthless biomass scum, they will not remove themselves and people cover and brought them in. Okay. I think you guys get the idea. So the interesting difference here is this is written with the language and the vernacular of Matthew Harris, clearly an inspiration and outright plagiarism at some points. But it's interesting to see, though, because this guy was literally talking about doing this as a plan of action more overtly than death sentences was for Matthew Harris. When the media talked about Matthew Harris and when they talked about death sentences, the thing that drew me to reading it and talking about it online right away was the implication that Matthew Harris was arrested for what he wrote in his manifesto. And I, being a proponent of free speech, thought that that was probably not a good thing. Now, then the story got more developed out as time went on, and you realize that no, it was actually these emails where he threatened to murder people specifically in the emails. He said, I'm going to come shoot you up with bullets. And then he was driving there, he bought a gun, he was trying to make that happen. This guy is not doing that. He is outright talking about an attack. It's not as his manifesto is his intention, apparently. It's what it seems. Maybe they're unrelated. Maybe he wrote this as a meme or a joke, and then what happened was he got angry at something else and went to school and decided to shoot a girl who probably rejected him, as I'm guessing has a lot to do with the story. Maybe he should have gotten more lean, I think. But I'm gonna probably stop reading this because I need to get through the super chats. You guys have been wonderfully generous. Thank you so much. I want to make sure and read all of those, and then we'll probably wrap this stream up. It's already almost 3 hours long, which is longer than I thought we would end up going. But I did have that big fucking delay in there trying to find this damn document. We might be implementing more talk about this in the coming weeks with more streams. I'm not sure what I don't know if it's doing it for you, but for me on StreamYard and stuff, my camera is pausing intermittently, and I've had that problem before. So I don't know if that's what's going on again now. If it's something that just needs to be updated, but if that's happening on y'all's end, I'll try and work on getting that fixed. I haven't streamed from this computer in so long that I didn't know that would be an issue. But yeah, ultimately what we have here is it's the logical conclusion of DEI. Getting back to that original theme, this is the idea that races have an inherent value and that value can be assessed and enforced through violence that is organized, like through a government, through a revolution or group activity, something like that. Again, getting back to this, individually possessing a value system for races is well within your rights. That's your free speech, free expression, and free thought. Do it at your own peril in the modern era, but you can certainly do that. And no one should be able to stop anyone from having that opinion, having that thought process. But once you decide that it is a valid enough idea that institutions can implement policies based on the assigned value of races, you have to consider the real possibility that your values are different than whoever actually holds power. And if you are someone who doesn't hold any power, then your values are meaningless and their values may destroy you. May make you born to middle-aged Black Israelites or whatever. Everyone becomes appalled at DEI when it's manifested in its ultimate conclusion, which is violence and like outright violence based on this valuation, either directly or as a proportional response to the value that the race-based unfairness creates a need to enact violence. And that's this manifesto is seemingly about. That is the nectar. That's the nectar that the DEI enthusiasts live on. And that's the whole purpose. And then the interesting thing, of course, is that the execution of violence based on these policies will then reinforce the need for these policies, whether that be through a metaphorical violence like political will, or actual violence like a school shooting or a mass shooting or the targeting of a church of a specific predominant race, etc. All of that is then used to perpetuate the idea that DEI is more valuable than ever because it needs to happen to stop what's going on. They will deny forever that is the cause of it, but it is the cause of it. And the crazy thing is all of the things that they will say are insane in this document and Matthew Harris's death sentences document are things that they fully support at the scholarly level when someone like Matthew Harris presents it for dissertation, because it is the same. It is the DEI policy. The psychosis of Matthew Harris's book, the psychosis of Solomon Henderson's manifesto, is the exact same thing that runs in the veins. It's the blood that runs through the veins of every DEI policy maker and implementer on the planet. So that's the conclusion I wanted to get to. With that, let's read these super chats, and then we've got a little surprise to you at some point here as we get through. Again, thank you for your patience and generosity. We got Cryptoki over on Rumble. It says, missed you, brother. Sorely needed the best trial commentator in streaming history. By the way, created a playlist of Daryl Brooks trial commentary here on Rumble. Should be searchable, but would be great if you ever have time to assemble on your channel. Oh, thank you. I'll have to figure out how to do that. All right. Then we've got, well, let's just get going here. Nice podcast. Stupid says, welcome back, King F. Aaron, Ricada Bros for life. High Roll 47 says, let's go, boys. Thank you. Pixlexia says, always late, always gay. Meet Nick, the man behind the nose. Welcome back. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Pixlexia. Good to see you. Nice podcast, Stupid. Welcome to Paralegal Status. Tenchi says, Trump wins. Destiny BTFO. Pisco crying on stream right now. And Nick is back. This week kicks so much ass. Why is Pisco crying? Is it because Destiny's being sued? I saw Destiny's being sued for a revenge porn charge or something. I haven't looked into it. I will try. But is that why Pisco was crying, or is he crying over Trump? That guy's such a fucking weirdo. Better ask Matt. Says, good to see you. Hey, thanks, Matt. Slosher, welcome to Lawyer Status. Lord of the Kino says, I get nitrous at my local Denny's. How about you, baby boo? No, not at all. I don't go to Denny's. Blue Varo, welcome to Paralegal. Thank you very much. Lynn says, glad to see you. Fletcher Boy says, money helps everything. It does. It really does. Anyone who says that money is not helpful is lying. Let's see. Jadine says, hey, Nick. Thank you. Wonderful Rage says, there once was a law pope whom did unlawful coke, and lo and behold, he tripped his prick on a toe and landed inside his 304. Q mock outrage, degens get wrecked. Thank you for the wonderful poem. Wrongful Rage, certainly don't know what you're talking about. Nice podcast. Stupid says, Ricada Bros, we are so effing back. F Steel Toe. Jadine says, I want to hear from a base black guy who wants to murder a country. Joseph Fazio says, return of the king of late night. Well, thank you very much. Citizen M says, wasn't sure about you at first, but proud to now be a card-carrying member of hashtag Team Ricada. Congrats on all your success. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Pastor Flash says, my knicker. Thanks. What's up, Pastor Flash? How you doing? Rob Price says, great to see you back and stronger than ever. Ban the trolls. Drop Barracuda says, not aware of the story in one direction or another anymore, but I sincerely hope things get better soon for you and your family. They have been much, much better, but thank you for asking. Last year was a bit of a mess, but you just gotta muddy through and pick up the pieces. That's how it goes. Let's see, where are we? Over here on Rumble. Flightless says, nice to see you back, bro. Thank you. Chichunia says, just love you, Nick. I miss you. Hey, what's up, Chichunia? Hope you're doing well. Ramble on 365 says, just comment on the crazy shit in the news. Missed you. VR Tool 12. Love you, bro. Barnes always had your back. Yes, he did. It was very nice. Bulldozer 74 says, oh my God, it was yours. The ashy ones. Wait. Let's see. MJ Whit says, Nick, make sure to describe the Matthew Harris lore. You're about to and jump to memes. Those who don't know are confused as to why you're an expert on him. Welcome back. Oh shit. There's a lot. That's a lot. Hopefully I got around to it somewhat. Boots 5598 says, you need to do a show with Count Dankula. You're both pug owners. You're hilarious, and you can compare your love of whiskey and racism. It's the crossover we need. That would be fun. I always wanted to do a show with Dankula, but I always didn't want to be embarrassed by never understanding what the fuck he was saying, because Scottish people are something. Bulldozer 74 says the plagiarism is honestly his worst crime. It's really about the plagiarism. Sonia Lizette says, it's great to see you, Nick. Take care, my friend. Hey, you too, Sonia. Hope you're doing well. Joseph Tefer says, did you watch Mars Girl's 11-hour video on Vic? Jesus Christ. No one did, I hope. Ellie Fan says, you're still not a real Texan. Ellie Fan says, subscribers only mode. How gay. I've done that for years now, but yeah. Kate of the Swiss, thanks for the chat. Correction says, hope all's well. Corrections 101. Hope all's well, Nick. Thank you. It's pretty much getting there, I guess, as well as things can be. Frog Tony, am I allowed to air someone out for sticking bunny stickers on my warehouse asking for a friend? Yes, you are. That's my unofficial, non-legal opinion right now. RJ Spain 56 says, hi again, Nick. Nice to see you on again. Hey, thanks. Drop Barracuda says, isn't the usual response? Oh, huh? Yes. Frederick Little, welcome back, Nick. I hope things are better for you and the family. They are. Thank you. Rascal on the Moon. Glad to see you back, Senor Nos. Looking forward to more shows. Oh, that rhymed. And I hope you simply had a wonderful Christmas time. You fucker. I hate that song. Oh, Nappy Soldier. Neurofunk drum and bass music producer says, good to see you, my rock star. Big ups. Hey, what's up, man? Joseph Toffer says, did you watch Mars Girl's 11-hour video on Vic? No, I did not. Ellie Fan says, a real Texan would have Dr. Pepper be better. I actually drank Dr. Pepper earlier today. So thanks. Damn it. Oh, just having a fun memory issue. I think I need to update something. I have not really haven't used this computer at all in a while. And so with that, there's a bunch of shit that needs to be updated, drivers and all that crap. Sorry. Getting back to where I was in the chat here. Here we go. Johnny Rocket says, welcome back. Mel Klump, glad to see you. Thank you. Justin Ong says, glad to see you streaming, Ricada. Thank you. Pantsmaester says, hey, Nick, glad you're back, buddy. Would you perhaps be interested in eating a stick of butter for several $100s? I like butter. I don't know. Sure, I guess. A stick of it might be really tough to get through. It seems kind of gross and slimy. How long would I have to eat it? Probably not, now that I think about it. I'll just eat a bite of butter sometime. I like that. Also get super tips, clinically proven to beef up those wimpy shoulders. Yeah, I got to talk about getting super tips soon. I wasn't planning on doing this stream yet. I wasn't planning on being back just yet. Ellie Fan said, what makes it blat? Well, high crime usually. Super Mastermind, you might enjoy mind control as a topic better. Catapultum says, you look better, Nick. I continue to pray for you. Hey, thank you. It's very nice. Gen X Medic says, welcome back, Nick. Glad you're turning the corner, man. I'm working the corner. I'm not sure if that's the same. Mike Hunt says, if race and culture are not the same thing, does that mean a white guy could understand what it's like to grow up black? Yeah, didn't you see The Jerk with Steve Martin? We proved this a long time ago. 100% Real Coach says, how do you feel about the Trump meme coin? I don't give a shit about it at all. I'm too stupid to understand crypto. I wish I did better, but I don't. So I'm pretty out of touch on some things just in general because my past year has been spent curled up like a bitch. Sad Lad Chad says, we missed you. Touchdown on paper. Unbreaded. Gunner says generative AI. Oh, we read this one earlier, but I'm going to read it again. Generative AI hallucinates an answer if it doesn't know the answer and can sound very convincing. Then its results get backfed into a garbage in, garbage out feedback loop, so much like a DEI PhD. Talking Trash and Truth says, awesome to see you back. About dang time too. Hey, thank you. Ellie Fan says, Kiwi's mirror, you not only subscribe here, but throw money at him and your interactions boost him. Thank you for the support. Pay pigs. Lynn says, Ellie Fan has shamed me. Lol, Nick. Hey, thanks, Linz. Mighty Meme King 1337 says, gonna hop off. I've got 2 court reports to write tomorrow for some upcoming dependency hearings, but I'll watch the VOD while I work. Take care, Nick. Hey, you take care too. Thank you. Nice podcast. Stupid says, the slave owner would breed his big black man with his big woman so that he would have a big black kid. That's from Jimmy the Greek Snyder. Koof says, welcome back. Thank you for not killing yourself. Thank you, Koof. Ellie Fan says, need a new song, fresh start, possibly. But again, that's something I'll have to work out at a different time. Tenji says, I texted you a link for the manifesto. Check your messages. Thank you. Charles Salmons, will you be able to practice law again? I answered this earlier, but yes, I will be able to practice as soon as I catch up on my continuing legal education. It took a back seat to other concerns that I had this past year, and I fell behind. So once I get it done, I'll reinstate my law license, but it's going to take me a little bit of time. After that, I mean, all bets are off. It is possible that they will attempt to punish me based upon any convictions of any potential crimes. So we'll have to see. If they do, I'll address it or accept the punishment. Who knows? That depends. But if you think substance possession or substance use has prevented people from practicing law in the past, I will humbly say that lawyers, I believe, have the highest substance abuse problems of any profession. And they're still all around. Lawyers are. Woo! Ellie Fan says, is Duke giving him a PhD for this dissertation? They did do that. That happened a while before. Ellie Fant says, chat's full of bingers. Koof says, there's so many memes and buzzwords in this manifesto that I can't tell what's serious and what's a joke. Lol. Thank you for not bingering yourself. That's the point. That's a big part of the point. And it's a big part of how Matthew Harris communicates too. The hyperbole is supposed to mask the sincerity, but it's there. It's there. But it also makes it, the problem with that is it makes it hard to discern like what you need to be concerned about. And it really poses a risk to free speech because the knee-jerk reaction to death is to police everything that led up to the death, including the speech. The malware says, nearly 2 months overdue, but wanted to welcome my 2 twin boys into the world. Hope you're hanging in there, buddy. Well, welcome to your 2 twin boys. That's awesome. I am hanging in there. Congrats on that. Ellie Fan says, is this where we found out this guy was in Ricada's chat? I don't think that's in here, but I was kind of worried about it. Buckmaster says, is it true you and April have been doing nitrous oxide to get high and pass drug tests? No. I don't know how doing nitrous oxide would help you pass a drug test. The way you pass a drug test is not doing drugs. That's just that. Brewholic 101 says, thanks for not changing. Lol, love, and peace to you and your family. Thank you. Buckmaster says, do you still stand by what you said and think Montegraph is a pedophile? Advice of counsel says not to talk about that. But yes, my opinion has not changed. I have no reason to disbelieve anything I said about Montegraph. That Melton was ripened, so it was of age. Or that melon was ripened, so it was of age. How did you know? Did you skirt check the melon? Shut up, I can cook says, hi, Nicholas. I'm 2 hours behind. Good to see you. Hey, what's up, Cookie? Thank you. Gotcha, son says, this is the latest and gayest you possibly have ever been. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks. You too. Buckmaster says, you sound high as fuck. No, just sober. One thing that was funny to me. Now, look, I know I sound a little bit different from before. There's some reasons for that that are not medical reasons and mostly my speculation, but a lot of little things have changed about me because I've been through a year of real shit, and a lot of it's a product of my own decisions. Like it's not like it's someone else's fault. Okay, like I got it, and I'm dealing with that and those consequences, and will continue to do so for a while. It's been frustrating waiting on the timeline to deal with that because people think that you're being like elusive or evasive. And it's like, well, no, you exercise your rights and then you move on to the next phase, which right now is a court calendar. I get to take a step on that direction and on the 24th. And I'm anxious to like be done with that shit and just go on. One of the hardest parts about being under the scrutiny of the system is that you have to just endure being in there. You're not in control of the timeline. So what you want to do doesn't always manifest in what you can do at any given moment. And during that time, a whole bunch of other shit happened too in my personal life. And it's all ripples from the same fucking boulders landing in your personal lake, right? And those ripples overlap and touch everything. And there's a lot of fallout from it. So doing that or dealing with that has had an impact on me. Also, I have to be careful about what I say and what I talk about still. And that causes you to take just hesitations that weren't there before. Another thing to point out is I know a lot of people say I sound like I'm on whatever substance. It occurred to me that just in general, not specifically, but since I started my show, people have basically never seen me online completely sober. Like even if I wasn't drinking on a particular night, I was in general drinking, very frequently. And so one of the things that various substances and alcohol in particular can do is at one point it will drive you into slurring and into incoherency, which you can see on some of my past streams. But there is a place where it just kind of lubricates the flow of ideas. It reduces any inhibitions and anxieties, and it allows you to speak kind of more openly and freely about whatever's on your mind. And it can make stream of consciousness happen more fluidly than not. I don't have that anymore. And as often as I would over abuse alcohol and drink way too much on a stream, get myself into a lot of fucking trouble. There were plenty of times where just having that sort of low level of chill was beneficial to the flow of speech. And then finally, I'm out of practice. So I know I sound different, man. It doesn't mean I'm high or drunk or anything like that. I'm not, but I don't really, it doesn't matter if you believe me at all. It'll matter soon because I'll likely re-enter a bunch of testing soon as things manifest, but I'll be able to talk about that more later. He says, you sound high. Reading the rest of the chat because I stopped. Sorry. He says, you sound high AF. I know you're so clever and they would never know how you're slurring words. Self-sabotage is not a good way to escape responsibility. I don't know what you mean by the rest of that. But hey, cheers to you. Thanks for the cash. Billy the Kid Lawrence says, it's so surreal seeing a YouTube stream from you. God bless Nick. Hey, thank you. Crafty Huragok says this document is unbreaded by what has been. That's funny. Yes, thank you. Broken Baker says 2025 starting hot. Trump is back. Racket's back in Valhalla, finally using one of his 1,000 wrenches. LFG. Squid says if he got rejected by a girl, would that mean the lesson is for girls to use their cooter to stop a shooter? God damn it. No, yes, no. Lounge King says all plea deals are coursed. Nice to see you back. Crafty Huragog says, how do you make a true Subway sandwich? Do you know? I do. Sherry Lawlessness says, miss you, Nick. Stream more, please. Yes, Sherry, there will be more coming. Aisha Frazier says, good to see you back, Nick. Intimidator 108 says, happy New Year, Nick. After buying Camelot 331's comics, I'm considering going to Daytona. By the way, do you know why two vegans don't want to be seen having a heated argument? They don't want anyone to think they're having beef with one another. I didn't miss those, Intimidator, but thank you. Gotcha Son says, it's okay, dude. The real ones have your back. Still late and gay. Some things don't change. Also, big old titties. Vanessa V says, Nick, we're glad you're here. Fun fact, Hunter Johnson sucked Aaron, and he was sent to his to this chat in his honor. What? Trumpinator says, we all should be grateful that Nick is turning his life around and support him, not condemn him. Never give up, Nick. Well, thank you. Thank you. Let's see. I think that's that. So I have one more thing to do before we get started here, or before we get finished up here. Give me just a second because I want to do that. Or I want to do this. Okay, hold on. Almost ready. Come on, slow thing. What the? What the hell? So my Adobe. You know, I really hate that people started using PDF as a summer or as a whatchamacallit, shorthand for pedophile, because now like when I'm like my PDF viewer and I'm like, wait, no, what? I don't have a pedophile viewer. That's strange. I really hate that. God damn. Okay. I got it. I got it all set. So here we go. Let's see if I know what I'm doing here.
Unbreaded!
I'm out of practice. It's time. It is time. It has been too long. It is time for a reading from the Unbreaded. All right, here we go. We need to pick a random number here. We're going to pick a page. We're going to do this. D. What has gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, D. What. And I have some plans for YouTube memberships coming up. I have lots of plans for a bunch of things going up. One of the things I hinted at on Camelot stream the other day was a reference to the 5,000 locals gifts. One of the things I want to have in place before I am fully back streaming is this will be a very short explanation, I guess. I have tried many times, not enough times, but many times to get the 5,000 locals gift in place. And my efforts always ended up at the last sort of minute or the last sort of negotiating point with the manufacturer I was talking to not responding to me. I don't know if it was because what I wanted to do was like super difficult or not. Basically, I wanted people to be able to go to the manufacturer and buy the 5,000 locals gift and have them make it and ship it without me having to do anything with the product itself. And it would just charge me for the making and shipping rather than charge anybody else, because it's a gift in every sense of the word. There's no shipping charge or anything like that. And so I would get to that point and I would say, okay, I need a little over 5,000 of these things. But here's what I want to do. I want people to be able to come to you and submit their information to you and you ship it out. I don't want their addresses. I don't want any of that shit. I don't want, and plus I might not be very good at accomplishing some things like mailing out a bunch of stuff. And I didn't want to carry any inventory at my house because that's a pain in the ass. So I wanted to have it all done by someone else. And every time I got to that point, they would stop talking to me and would not quote me on an actual price. So I couldn't get a manufacturer to do it. And then, there'd be time between this where I would lose track of it. I get focused on other things and drop the ball on it. That's my fault. Okay. But I just leave that in there as kind of backstory. Since that's not worked out in the past, what I've decided to do is, I believe Lady Rackets is going to help me with this, which I'm really looking forward to having someone else to help me do it to make sure I stay on track, is to actually just producing them myself. I won't be able to do all of them at once. So it'll be done over time. But one of the things I wanted to start with when I come back to streaming full time is to actually have that being made and having those being shipped out. So to those people in that initial 5,000 local subscriber group, look for emails soon about how to claim yours. You will be getting them. I will be making them and sending them out rather than doing it through another company. But you will be able to collect those, and those will actually start being manufactured and delivered. And that is supposed to accompany my return to streaming, because I want people to know that, like, I've always been serious about fulfilling it. And so it's time to just put the fucking pen to paper and make it happen. So we'll be doing that. So there you go. With that, it has picked page 781 from the text. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you your daily Unbreaded. It's not really daily anymore, is it? So that the attack never ends. Until they don't exist, all the enemies must be made obsolete by the attack, so that there is no possibility that they may remain in existence. Death is only part of it. The true curse and damage of the attack is that all of the enemies become tools in service of the attack perpetually and forever. All of the enemies become weapons against themselves and against all others. All of the enemy is become the attack. The enemy is become the attack. The enemy has become the attack. The enemy has become worse than their own fears. The enemy is consumed by the attack. The enemy activates death upon all of the enemy. The enemy activates death upon itself and seeks death at every moment. The enemy actively seeks death. The enemy actively attacks itself at every way, at every level. The enemy actively seeks to attack itself. That is the attack. The enemy must actively seek death at every level. The enemy must seek death at every level. The enemy must seek the poison itself in everything it loves and everything that it enjoys. The enemy must seek to poison itself in everything it loves and everything that it enjoys. The enemy must seek to beg never to enjoy anything ever again and to give it all to Matthew C. Harris. The attack must bring the enemy so much suffering, must bring the enemy to the point where the enemy keeps the attack complete, to the point where the enemy spreads the attack completely, to the point where the enemy no longer is the enemy and the enemy is nothing but the attack. The attack itself must be immortal. The attack itself is the destination of the enemy. The attack itself is the end of the enemy. The attack of itself is the destiny of the enemy. The attack itself is your final curse to the enemy and final move to the enemy. The attack itself is your greatest gift to the enemy. Give yourself absolute permission to deliver this complete attack to the enemy with no regard for the enemy. The enemy's greatest destiny is to receive this attack, so go and bring darkness to the sun. The enemy must be consumed, invisible by the attack in all directions. The enemy, or the word memory, must be forgotten. The attack will be the only thought permanently. The word concentrate, the word focus, the word vision must all be forgotten, for the enemy will be in a single state, not a thought, but an infinite moment of death, suffering, and agony. Infinite agony.
White bread ass niggas, man.
Unbreaded!
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. That was your daily Unbreaded. Thank you. It's been too long. It has been too long since reading that document. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know the discussion was a little bit weird today, but that's because it was a weird topic. And I genuinely don't know how to discuss it in any different way than that. I'm sure someone out there will do it better, hopefully. Gotcha Son says, let us pray. Fletcher Boy, welcome to Paralegal. And it says, YouTube unburdened my membership a few months ago. Just fixed it. Hey, thank you. Thank you. Thank you to all who joined as members. Thank you to those who have re-upped over on locals. We will see you very, very soon over on locals specifically. plan to pop on there independently of being back on YouTube and Rumble. Again, I have court on Friday. I'll know a little bit more after that about what my streaming schedule return looks like, but it is calming. It is calming. All right, guys. Hope you have a good night. I'll catch you soon. Peace. Peace.
Oh, he drinks a fair bit, but you realize that it just helps get his noggin jogging along. With his glass by his side and his kids asleep tight, we'll hear some lost-plaining tonight. With his microphone muted, we'll laugh at this boomer until he explains it's all part of the plan. Watch his face become redder as he becomes meta, raging at idiots from Twitterland. From the white shores of Maine to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed, to make the law what we have now. Oh, his lady is fair, and she handles herself with the grace of one who has borne many children. As the wife of a lawman, she makes sure that he has the time and the place to provide for them there. So pour out an Ardbeg, a Balmore, a Lafroig, the spirits flow as the ones who get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter, as we hear lost-plaining tonight. From the white shores of Nairn to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed, to make the law what we have now. Oh, the guests are all plentiful, from Dundee to Drexel. They bring their perspective and spice to the mix. But the reason we're here and the one that we cheer is the one who is showcasing us his career. Get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter, as we hear lost-plaining tonight. From the white shores of Nairn to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour